Peace, peace. Welcome and peace. Welcome to the Sesh channel. This is your brother Wujao. And just real quickly, if anyone in the chat can let me know that I could be heard before I keep on talking. In case you can hear me, peace to everyone in the chat. I can see we have Thurman is in the building. Babylon Dunn. All right. Christopher Withers. Lamar. Zane. All clear. All right. Hits. All right. So peace again. So again, welcome. I know it's late. So as you can see, the title of this live stream is Late Night Recap. And so basically want to just kind of have a late night discussion recapping, I guess this week, some things that we were going live here and then some other live streams that you all may have been aware of. So like just the week's review, basically kind of give a review of this whole week and summarize some things. So just want to do that. All right. Yeah. So everybody can hear me. Okay, great. All right. So I'm just going to dive straight into it. As far as reviewing, I'll start recent and go backwards. So today, if you were aware or tuned in, I believe it was on the Community of Skeptics YouTube page earlier today, either the Pseudo Killers or the Community of Skeptics YouTube page. I believe it was the Community of Skeptics. They were live today, and the title, let me just see if I can go to it real quick. If I can do that real quick. And I have too many windows open. Anyhow, there was a live stream, and it was a very good. I didn't get a chance to watch it from the beginning, and I caught it while it was going on, and so I saw the link and I jumped in because the topic was something along the lines of what does the ancient Egyptians being black. Okay, the title is "If the Egyptians are black, how does that empower the African American community?" So that was the title. If the ancient Egyptians are black, how does that empower the African American community? And that's a good question. I think it's a good question. It's a question that I put out there a few times here and there. And so I was definitely interested to see what the conversation was going to be and what answers were going to be given. So I definitely tuned in once I saw the live, and it was a good conversation. So I jumped on the panel, and I think it was a full panel, maybe about 10 people. So when it's a full panel, you can't really say much without hogging the microphone. And, when other people need to speak and maybe address somebody else and things like that, it can get very, very complex. If you ever run a channel or been a part of a panel where there's a lot of people on the panel, it's a different ball game. All right. So you want to be courteous and let other people talk. And so you definitely, in case you don't know, it's always good, especially on our channel, at least, I can speak for our channel, but I would advise everyone to, when you're watching, like right now, have a pen and pad near you. Have a legal notepad and pen, or if you do it just pure electronically, have your iPad, tablet or laptop near you so you could just type notes as people are talking. Because if you're on a panel with a lot of people, it's definitely to your advantage to do that. You would have to do that because a lot of people say a lot of things and you have to address it, but you have to wait your turn. So it's good to do that. So good to get into practice with that. But anyway, so the show today was pretty good. The brother Jabari was there, gave some words. Brother Logic, that's my first time seeing him, or dealing with him. Brother Ngozi, uh, brother Unk, Juju, I think brother Kent, Sosa. Who else? There was some others, but it was a good conversation. Now, the takeaway today, the input that I gave was that in listening to the conversation, even the conversation today, and listening to the conversation today, and listening to the conversations over the years that I have, I strongly feel that the water has definitely been muddied. The lines have definitely blurred to the point where there are no more lines. And I feel that the conversation has gotten very, very, very messy, and doesn't have to be. And I say that because there are several distinct conversations going on with topics that require certain information and things like that are being bunched up together, mixed and mingled together. And everyone is trying to have all of these conversations at the same time, on top of each other. As far as the topics are just blurred. It's like somebody put these different distinct topics in a blender and just turned it on, and what comes out is a bunch of mess. So in other words, people are making a smoothie out of these conversations when they shouldn't. So today I pointed out at least 3 distinct worthwhile conversations, but they need to be separated and discussed in their separate path. And so one that I recognized is, actually it's more than 3, but I mentioned 3 today. So there is a conversation that I'm involved with. It's myself, the brother Saramotep, and the brother Sanjeti. We are having a conversation about the place name Kemet, and giving information on the meaning of that place name Kemet. So that's the conversation we're having, that we've been having, and we've made it very clear that that's the conversation we're having. We introduce a lot of information, new information that people didn't hear about, words that people weren't familiar with, such as toponym, riparian, all different words that people may have had issues with only because they were unfamiliar with these words. But that's the conversation we're having. Then there's so that's one. Then there's a separate conversation on whether the ancient Egyptians would be considered black through the lens of the modern social construct of race. Okay, and I word it that way purposely. So the second one again is, would the ancient Egyptians be black according to the modern social construct of race today? By modern, obviously, I mean today. Okay, that's a separate conversation. All right. Then there's another conversation as to what was the third one that I mentioned? Oh, then there's a conversation about DNA or biogenetics being applied to a conversation on ancient Egyptians. And that's a separate conversation. Okay, where people will talk about genetics and all of that good stuff. All right. Now, all of these are conversations of themselves that are worthwhile and most likely would be very fruitful. But all of these conversations are being combined. And I think there's another one that's a little different too, is whether the ancient Egyptians viewed themselves collectively and identified as a race of black people. Did they call themselves black people? As if they had the modern social construct of race in their psyche thousands of years ago. And so that's a iffy separate topic, but that is definitely something that's also raised in these conversations. So notice that those are distinct conversations, but they're being mixed up, and people are arguing and crisscrossing and jumping ship to argue something over in the wrong place. They're outside of their lane and their scope of discussion, but they're bringing it in a different lane. All right. And I think that's causing a lot of confusion. And we've been clear, at least here with the Seshu, on the Seshu Money Matter Netcher channel. Myself, I know that I've been doing this for a good minute, and I've been trying to keep them distinct and let people know. So at all times, I tell people when they bring these arguments to me, I let them know that we're dealing with toponyms. Toponyms only refer to places, never people. That fact alone, and y'all have to understand this, that fact alone, the fact that toponyms always, without exception, refer to places and never people, that eliminates that part of the conversation out of whether or not the toponym Kemet means black people. It can't. It would violate the very fact of what a toponym is. And there's no exceptions to that. So I just want you all to know that anybody that brings that conversation over to the toponym conversation, they're already outside the scope. It's a complete waste of time. It's like apples and oranges. And it's very frustrating when it happens, and I see it happen all the time. So that's that. And that's the conversation we've been having. And as far as the toponym, the meaning of the toponym, and that is a linguistic question. That's under the umbrella of linguistics, because you're trying to ascertain the meaning of something. So it involves semantics, pragmatics, etymology, morphology, syntax, philology, all of those things. And so people are trying to engage that conversation that we're having without even knowing about the things I just mentioned, semantics, pragmatics, or whatever. They don't have those tools under their belt to engage that conversation, but people will try to inject themselves in that conversation. Matter of fact, I don't want my thing to be the only thing that's on this screen here. So all right, here we go. So I can see the chat a bit. So that's what's happening. And then, like I said, there's a conversation on whether the Egyptians are black or not through today's eyes. Even if I don't say that, if I say whether the Egyptians are black, if I just ask the blanket question, were the ancient Egyptians black? If I just say it just like that, were the ancient Egyptians black? That question, although if I say it that way, it doesn't include me saying through the modern social construct of race. That's implicit in the question. Because if I say, were the ancient Egyptians black? Anybody that engages that and tries to answer it, they're only going to be doing so through the lens of the modern social construct of race, the racial classifications. That construct did not exist for the ancient Egyptians or anybody ancient. It's a modern emergent construct out of modern society, starting around the transatlantic slave trade, colonization, and all of that good stuff. That's where that starts. It was a way to group human beings in classes, in a hierarchical class, ultimately to justify the treatment of the ill treatment of certain groups of people. And we all know that the bottom class was labeled Negro, etc., aka black. And it justifies, for them, it justified the ill treatment of people who they lumped in that category. All right. So that's the bottom class with that. So that's a conversation. And people are having that conversation. I'm not interested in that conversation myself because I feel that because it's anachronistic, it has no value. It has no value. That's my stance on that. I feel it has no value. And I expressed that today earlier on the show, that it has no value. So then with that, the ancient Egyptians or ancient Egypt, I should say, being an African civilization by geography, obviously, it should be obvious because Egypt is on the continent of Africa to this very day. And its civilization and its people were African. So those statements should be widely accepted and just standard by now. The fact that ancient Egyptians are African and ancient Egypt was an African kingdom and civilization, that should be stamped, sealed, and delivered to everybody. Everybody should be okay with that. And that should be enough. That should be enough. So the interesting conversation today was kind of teasing out why that's not enough. Because I think everyone on the panel earlier today agreed with that statement. Everyone on the panel agreed that ancient Egypt is on the continent of Africa and ancient Egyptians were African. I think everybody on the panel agreed to that. But that's not enough. And I think Jabari was one that was articulating why that wasn't enough. And one of the points he made, and of course I'm summarizing and paraphrasing. So what I would encourage everyone to do is to go watch the video, okay? Because I don't want to misrepresent anybody else's words, but I'm just going to do my best to paraphrase and summarize, all right? So one of the points that Jabari was making was the fact that people like Hegel, now he didn't mention this person, but it falls in the same vein. Reisner, Glyden, Reisner, Hegel, and some others that had views of Africans being just non-human, not even civilized, didn't contribute anything to civilization, to culture, didn't even have a culture, and so on and so forth. And that's very true. These people, they felt that way. They wrote that. I mean, there's text, with their sentiment about that, their ideology, everything. It's all recorded. It's all, you can read about that. And so, but because of that, there is, and this is what I'm getting from what Jabari was saying, there is a need to identify the ancient Egyptians as being black because Egypt was most certainly a well-developed civilization. The light of the ancient world contributed a lot of things to the ancient world, and even the modern world to this date, et cetera, et cetera. So it has to go beyond just acknowledging them as being African. But see, we never really got to that point in the conversation to really kind of bring out more information. The brother Jabari had to attend to another commitment that he had, so he had to get off the panel, and so it never. And then there was so many people on the panel, so it didn't get like really, really meaty. So maybe that conversation we picked up and had again. But um, but I'm just giving you all a review of that. And so, and then I'm also giving you my stance on that because obviously, with a lot of people on the panel, I didn't have a chance to speak very much. And y'all know that, and me being MC Iron Lung, that's against my protocols. But no, but I did just give some points and things like that. So what I want to do, I want to on these subjects, right? Now, mind you, this channel, our channel, the Sesh, we are in the business of equipping everyone who engages us with the tools to know. Okay, that's one of our mottos. We equip you with the tools to know and grow. And our motto is, when you know better, you do better. So we equip you with the tools to know and grow, to learn, to discern. I hope, Miket, you writing these things down, because these are all right. We're gonna plaster this everywhere. Equip you with the tools to know and grow, learn to discern, and when you know better, you do better. All right. So what I think 4 years ago now, I believe it was 4 years ago, and I just want to share something with y'all. Do I have it here? Yeah, 4 years ago, I recommended everyone to get a series of books. Okay, it was the Cambridge Elements. It was part of the Cambridge Elements, Ancient Egypt in Context. And there's a series of books. This is one of them that you see here. It's called Ancient Egypt in its African Context by Andrea Manzo. And then it was these three at the time. Now I would recommend you get all of them, get the whole series. I forgot how many they are now, but get them all if you can. And they're not costly at all. They're available on Kindle. So if you like reading on your tablet or iPad and you got Kindle, get it. At one time, they were only $10 a piece. They had a special going on, or what have you. But here are the other titles. Let me see if I can make this bigger. Take that off. So you see Ancient Egypt in its African Context, Ethnicities in the Land of the Pharaohs, Egypt and the Desert. So now the middle one, we created a book club. On the Sesh, we created a book club, and the middle book, Ethnic Identities in the Land of Pharaohs, we collectively, everyone who joined in, we read the book from cover to cover, and we had discussions. So no one, and I mean no one, that participated with us in reading that book in the middle has an issue or problem with these conversations. Everyone who read that book knows what time it is. No one's confused. No one's bickering. No one's debating anything. There's nothing to debate. Now, I'm not saying the middle book is the end all be all, but it's a tremendous help to gain understanding on where to go and how to deal with these conversations that I mentioned. That middle book. So take a screenshot if you don't know, if you haven't heard it or whatever. Go to Amazon, get it on Kindle. All right. So make sure you do that. So I brought that up today. I brought that up today during the discussion. And so without hogging the mic, I wanted to kind of highlight a few things in the book, but it would have taken me too long to do so. It would take me long to do so. So right now, what I want to do as quick as I can, I want to share with you all the conclusion in that book. Okay, I want to read it. And that's if I still have it up. Y'all give me a second. If I still have it up. And I want to read the conclusion. Mm, have to find it. Give me a second. And Emiket, if you have any words, let me just pull this up.
Okay, so Hotep Abeti. I don't really have much to say, but I can quickly look through the chat. I think there were some things that were said. Just going back from the very beginning. Let me see if I can get it. I think at one point, let's see, Sat 12 said the Seshu, a topo ethnonym refers to the ethnonym derived from a toponym name of a geographical locality, place name. Okay, yeah, that is true. So just to be clear, I don't know if that was referring to something that was said in a different video because we haven't mentioned that here. But just for the people listening, so I know you've heard Wujao talk about toponyms, and then you've also heard Wujao talk about demonyms. So toponyms refer to places, like you have Canada, you have South Africa, and then you have demonyms, which will be a name for people coming from a specific location, and it's derived from the toponym. So you will hear, stuff like Canadian for people who are from Canada. You'll hear, for example, South African for people or somebody who's from South Africa. Now, when it
Well, let
comes
me.
to,
I'm
go ahead.
sorry. No, I was gonna say we can explain all of that, but I want to read. I just want to read this conclusion so that
Okay,
everyone
cool.
has this backdrop before
Okay,
we
I was just
answer.
buying you time.
Oh
Right.
no, no,
Okay.
I have it on the screen.
Okay, good.
Yep. So, but I'm gonna get back to that. I don't want to ignore that or anybody's statements. So if you can, I can see the chat. I mean, I can't see the chat while I'm sharing this. I'm gonna read through this, and then we'll get back to the chat. So really, because really, I'm just doing this recap, and then we can engage everybody in the chat. So everybody in the chat, I just want you all to listen up. Okay. Again, this is the where am I inside the book? I think I'm at the conclusion. Yeah. So this is a concluding remark. So this is the end of the book, and these are the concluding remarks. I don't think I need to have that open anymore. Do I need that? Can I make it big? I'm trying to make it bigger for you all to see. I don't need to search anymore. All right, there we go. Now I think I lost my page. Did I lose my page? Did I lose my page? Okay, here we go. Is it? Did it switch? Nah, it switched back. Okay.
Okay, you're
All
on the
right.
page that is highlighted. Yeah. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. Okay. Now, unfortunately, I don't think I can make this too much bigger, but I'm gonna read it out loud. If y'all can see it, then follow along. I'm looking to see where I can make this bigger, but I don't want to make this bigger, and then when I want to go back to it, I think I can zoom in. Nope. Okay. I'm just gonna read. So this is the concluding remarks in the whole book. Again, get the book. Definitely, this is a must-have. All right. And then when you get it, if you all, if enough people get it and want to go through it again, we already went through it. This is 4 years. This book was published in 2020, so it's 4 years old. And we did the book club, I believe, when it came out, 2020, maybe 2021. Anyway, I'm gonna read. It says concluding remarks. It says the question of identity, whether racial in the 19th and early 20th century or ethnic in the later 20th and 21st century, continues to occupy Egyptologists. Contemporary Egyptology faces the same problems in studying ethnic identity in the past as other historical disciplines, no matter if they are based on text, images, material culture, or their various combinations. Even those who did not or do not deal with these questions classify, for example, the archaeological materials such as pottery and use it as evidence of actual foreign presence. It is rarely considered that although foreigners could have been there, the foreign material culture can be used by locals too, without them necessarily aspiring to foreign identity. Section 3 in the book demonstrated the difficulties which go together with such arguments. Ancient Egypt presents us with an excellent case for studying ethnogenesis, as defined in Section 3, a concept unfortunately rarely used by Egyptologists. Following S. Jones, ethnic identities are based on shifting, situational, subjective identifications of self and others, rooted in daily practices and historical experiences, and subject to transformations and discontinuity. Numerous examples discussed in this element, and by element it means this book, demonstrate this. Identity in ancient Egypt was not as fixed as primordialists would argue. The old Egyptological idea of a single Egyptian culture with single common ethnic identity, language, and shared values cannot be accounted for in all contexts. A person of foreign descent could become Egyptian no matter his or her background. This has led some authors to argue that foreignness loses its applicability in the setting in which people of foreign origin who live in Egypt adapted to the social and cultural systems of their host country. The long history of ancient Egypt and the various examples provided in this element teach us that an essentialist notion of an ethnic identity simply does not hold ground. What it meant to be Egyptian or a foreigner changed significantly and numerous times over at least 3 millennia. It was negotiated and defined in contrast not to diverse people of foreign origin who lived in Egypt and spoke Egyptian, for example, but to people who lived outside Egypt, not speaking the Egyptian language, and even possibly sometimes threatening the land of Egypt. This is why both the scientific racism discussed in Section 2 of the book and the third science revolution and its tools such as DNA and isotope analysis discussed in Section 4 of this book fail to give answers to ethnic identity, being that it is socially constructed. And see, I highlighted that in yellow because that's a driving point. That's the point I made today. That anybody bringing up genetics in these conversations, it's not applicable. Anybody talking about the scientific racism that was going on is not applicable. So those are the wrong conversations, wrong things to bring up. To continue, and I'm losing my spot. We have to differentiate between biological proximity divergence and ethnic identity, as the former is a result of long history interactions that occur between that person's ancestors and earlier natural and social cultural environments. Although groups with similar cranial shape tend to be related more closely to each other than groups that show more divergence, these similarities and differences are not ethnic differentia specifica. Meaning, so in other words, it's a fancy way of saying that genetic sameness, even cranial sameness, does not speak to ethnicity. And the case, and an example I always give when I have these discussions is in Nigeria, the Igbo and the Yoruba. They're part of the same genetic population because they share a lot of genes with one another. Practically, you can't tell them apart on a biological or genetic level, but they are distinct people. They're two distinct ethnicities. They're distinct. So much so that you call an Igbo a Yoruba and a Yoruba a Igbo, they mess around and be offended by that. All right, so that's just a little simple example I always give. Now, it says, feeling as a member of and identifying with an ethnic group is not something written in bone, blood, or DNA. That should be highlighted right there. I need to highlight that. All right, there we go. Oops, too much. Okay, anyway. Now I'm gonna get it. I need to get this. All right, there we go. Highlight it. Feeling as a member of and identifying with an ethnic group is not something written in bone, blood, or DNA. These analyses are certainly more than useful in studying ethnicity because they provide us with valuable information on origin, descent, and biological kinship and mobility. But as text and iconography teach us, foreignness read through these analyses can mean little because it was not an obstacle to self-identification or outside recognition of membership to a certain ethnic group. All right. Hope everybody following along with that. And I'm going to engage the chat in a second. I'm just going to finish this out. Studying cultures which left rich textual and visual record behind, such as ancient Egypt, provides a nice balance to the approach relying solely on skeletal remains of ancient people, like in the case of prehistory. The stereotypical, rhetorical, and ideological representations of foreigners in text and iconography are a reference to the process of self-definition and do not target the inhabitants of Egypt of different descent, as long as they are loyal to the king. Cultural practices of foreign origin can be used to express status rather than ethnic identity and can as such slowly but surely inspire others to adopt them. And that is, remember, I'm reading the conclusion. So all of these things that is mentioned here, the book goes into detail. After some time, they become an integral part of one's own unconscious daily habitus or occasional practices, losing the allure of foreignness. This is why foreign material culture and practices documented in the archaeological record cannot be interpreted in a culture historical manner as evidence of foreign presence using the pots equal people premise. This is people who talk about the pots and things like that all the time. This does not mean that people do not move and leave archaeological traces of their movement or presence. Some of these movements leave archaeological traces, others do not. Yet, recognizing a foreign burial in ancient Egypt does not mean studying ethnic identity. We should always remember that the dead are buried by the community of the living, so that those who might have tried to change their ways still got buried in the way of the community once belonged to, wanted them to be buried. This is probably one of the reasons textual sources indicate that ancient Egyptians preferred being buried at home. And one textual source that I always share is the tale of Senuhe, where he was born and raised as an Egyptian. He left Egypt, became prominent somewhere else, became a very popular, prominent person somewhere else. But then before he died, he wanted to come back to Egypt to be buried at home in Egypt. And so he had to be re-Egyptianized in order to make that happen. All right. Oops. To keep going. One should, however, not be pessimistic and depart from any attempt at studying ethnic identity through material culture. In fact, material culture is crucial for expressing ethnic identity. None of the aforementioned people of foreign origin could express either their foreignness or their Egyptianness without material culture, which, for example, dress, funerary stela, tombs, etc. However, what culture historical archaeology fails to recognize is that not all material culture is used by a group or recognized by another group as an ethnic marker. What we use to group ourselves or differentiate ourselves from the others can be used by others to mark us, but they can also mark us with that which we do not recognize as a differentiating feature. And that's what a lot of the colonial ideology and the 16th century, 15th century forward colonization, where you have Europeans going all over the globe, differentiating people on shallow grounds. Perfect case in point, black. Calling people black. That's not an identity. That is beyond shallow. That's not an identity. Black is not an identity. Even the way it's used today, it's not an identity. All right? It doesn't tell you anything. And I'm echoing the words of Dr. John Henry Clarke. For those who revere Dr. Clarke, but may have missed him saying that. There's a whole lecture he gives, interview. Where was I? Pottery and culinary practices can be adopted or abandoned. People can also try things out, sometimes out of curiosity, continue to use them, or abandon them completely. But that does not mean that foreigners were not around. They could have been, sometimes longer, sometimes occasionally. Egyptology benefits a lot from the rich textual and iconographic sources. The danger is, however, in insufficient dialogue between Egyptologists specializing in philology and historiography and those specializing in archaeology and art history. So the point here is that, and this is true with a lot of disciplines, the sub-disciplines tend to not communicate with one another. Now that is changing a lot. Now it's getting better, but at one time it was almost competition between archaeologists and philologists or whatever, even though it's all studying Egypt or anything else. So anyway, where was I? Even more dangerous is the lack of awareness of discussions on ethnicity outside of Egyptology, namely in the broader archaeological world and other disciplines such as sociology and anthropology. Egyptologists rarely stress that what we must do is try to avoid applying inappropriate modern distinctions to ancient situations. Boy, I need to highlight that, because I feel like I'm talking to myself right now. I mean, anyway, I'll highlight it later, because this is not letting me do it. There we go. Yeah, I need to highlight that. Boy, I didn't mean to do that. What just happened? I guess that's a cue that I'm being long-winded, huh?
Try to click on the third highlight on the right side. I don't know, or at the bottom. If probably that will take you back to.
Yeah, but I don't want to do that. All right.
Yeah.
I must have clicked show notebook. All right, do it for that. Appreciate that. Back in business. Okay. Last leg, y'all. I'll just read this and then we open it up, because recapping on anything y'all want to bring up from this week. So in section 1, we have seen that ancient Egyptian identity was never national, although in certain periods there is evidence of imperial identity of the elitist segment of Egyptian society. The need to rethink our preconceived notions of identity, the concepts we employ to interpret the past, and the way we understand material culture is gaining increased recognition. T. Schneider labeled these efforts trans-Egyptology of the 21st century. However, while preliminary moves have been made in the last 2 decades or so, at least where the topic covered by this element is concerned, still only a handful of scholars, I repeat, only a handful of scholars participate in these discussions. Most Egyptologists are instead what some archaeologists call culture happy, meaning that they still work within the frame of culture historical archaeology. Instead, starting from the notion of Egyptian identity being very locally bound, we should ask ourselves in which context this locally bound identity can be elevated to sentiments of belonging to a land or a people. It seems that this is the case. Excuse me. Yeah, this is, excuse me. It seems that this is in the case of supralocal and super-regional mobility or tensions. This element has made an attempt to fill gaps in communication between studies of ethnic identity, both inside and outside Egyptology, and those not dealing with these questions by providing an overview of both past and current approaches, problems, and challenges Egyptologists face in studying ethnicity. Readers still interested in this topic should further venture into the rich world of Egyptological studies of foreigners and ethnicity, and the even richer world of numerous and very ancient Egyptian sources. The sources can be surely read and studied to learn more than has been said here, and if this is the outcome, my goal with this element is accomplished. All right, so that's it. So I wanted to read that whole conclusion. I didn't read it earlier. I only read part of it earlier, but I wanted to read that conclusion. This is something this book is 4 years old. We went over it as a book club, and everybody who participated is on the same page. Everyone. So I can stop sharing that. So now I am paying attention to the chat, and I want to know how you all feel about what I've read. Does that help you? Does it, pique your curiosity? Do you plan on reading the book? And maybe some of the others that are shown on the screen right now, these right here. And do you feel that having a better understanding of what makes a people will help these conversations that have been ongoing till everyone's blue in the face? So, all right, so I'm gonna scroll up and I'm gonna deal with the chat. So again, I appreciate anybody who's tuned in and I'm hanging out. I know it's Memorial Day weekend. Everybody probably ate good today, cooked out, probably gonna do the same thing tomorrow and maybe Monday, and whatever the case is. So it's good. Everybody having fun, chilling with their family and all that good stuff. All right. So let me go up. So Emiket, so now did you first of all, any comments, and then did you want to point out any comments from the chat? So I'm trying to scroll back as far as I can and then catch up.
Yeah, I can catch you up with the previous three. So I'll just read them to you. And then
Okay.
I can discuss it. So the first one was from SAT 12 was and SAT 12 has clarified that it was just letting us know about it because it came up somewhere, and I remember also it came up before. So it was just mentioning that this issue, a toponym ethnonym refers to the ethnonym derived from a toponym, name of a geographical locality, place name, and he was just making a note. It wasn't any questions or anything like that.
Okay. But I do want to say something about that, though, because an ethnonym, it says an ethnonym that is derived from a toponym. So there's two different things. There's an ethnonym that is derived from a toponym, but then there is there's a lot of overlap with demonym. And when I started speaking about demonyms, it sounds funny, but a lot of people did not know what I was talking about, because people actually thought I was talking about demons, like angels and demons, gods and devils and demons and devils and stuff like that. So that was pretty weird. But people confuse these things, what they are. So, I always give examples, like Canada, Canadian. Canada is the toponym. Canadian is a demonym, and it's derived from a toponym. Now, the reason why people will create another category of these things called topoethnonym is because the demonym is not narrow enough. It's not narrow enough. So let me give you an example. So Canada is a toponym. It's a place. It's a country. Everyone who lives in Canada domicile in Canada, etc., would be a Canadian. That's a demonym. But now, among the Canadians, there may be smaller populations, smaller distinguished populations among Canadians. So they may create a topo ethnonym to reference that fact. Okay, so that's pretty much a simple way of explaining it. All right, so hopefully everybody understood that. Okay, what you said was another one.
Yes, and then it was from Black Lion. It said from Black Lion Supreme. How do you know Kemet is not a demonym, Mujao? An example of a demonym is French for a person from France. And then he also said, I will wait to see how we know Kemet is not a demonym.
Okay, so here's where we invoke the Seshu got a vid for that. So Black Line Supreme, I've done a video on that and really explained it, and I've done it more than once in our archives. So I would definitely advise you check it out. And Imicat, if you can provide the link for one of those videos where I discussed demonyms, not only in the video, but we also in our essay book. Me, Asar, Imhotep, and Sanjeti, we did our essay book in 2019 where I break it down. Okay, but I'm not going to leave you hanging. I'm going to quickly summarize it for you right now. The reason why we know that the toponym or the place name Kemet is not a demonym, because one, notice how I said that, it's a toponym, but the way that the writing system works, there are what's called toponymic classifiers as glyphs. There are glyphs that are toponymic classifiers, aka determinatives. A lot more people are more familiar with that term, determinatives. There are toponymic determinatives, meaning that there are determinatives that convey the meaning that it is a place. And I list them in the book, and I'm see if I have a slide real quick that I could share right now on the screen, because like I said, I don't want to leave anybody hanging if I bring something up, and of course if time will permit. But you all give me 1 second, I will share it. So give me a second, I will share it. And indicate if you find the link, let me know if you do find the link.
Okay, the link for the toponym video, I'll put it in the chat back, put it in the back chat as well.
Okay. Okay, so I have a list of them, examples. Let's see, where do I need to go with this? Bear with me. All right, here we go, right here. All right, so I'm just going to reshare my screen and make this big, put it on a jumbo screen. All right. So who was that again? Black Line Supreme. So Black Line Supreme, this is from a video that a presentation I did in 2018. Okay, so it's 6 years ago. I've been sharing this. So here are examples of glyphs that are toponymic determinatives. So we have glyph, and I give the Gardner code and then what Gardner described them as. So we have the N36, which is a canal, N39, which is a pool of water, N31, which is a road, N21, which is a tongue of land, N23, irrigation canal, N25, which is triple hills, O49 is a town, and N35A, which is water itself. Okay, these glyphs right here find themselves at the end of words to indicate that these have something to do with places. All right, so that's how we know. And so when we look at Kemet, for example, here we see two variation spellings of the place name Kemet. We have two variation spellings of the place name Desheret as well. So we have Kemet, you see 049 as its final glyph classifier. Then we have N23 as a final glyph classifier. These are indicating. Now, the reason why they call them determinatives, for those who don't know, is as a nickname, scholars have said that these glyphs help determine the meaning of the words, hence the word determinative. Okay, but the more updated name for these glyphs are classifiers, because there's been enough work now to understand how these glyphs function. There's more information on how they function. So the more preferred term to call these glyphs is classifiers, because it puts them in a class. And then you have taxonomic meaning, and then meronymic meaning. So you have layers, almost like a file cabinet system. All right, so hopefully that answered the question. So I'm gonna keep on going down. I see Sat 12 had another question. Most Americans define black as synonymous with of African descent. Now, here's the problem with that, Sat. The moment that you invoke African descent, you are invoking, you're hinting towards, you're implying biology. And the fact is, every person who is alive today on the planet Earth is of African descent. Now, I had a long pause of silence right there purposely, because I want everybody to think about that. Every living human being on the planet Earth today is of African descent, biologically. Human beings originate in Africa as a species. So that's not valuable. That has limited value. That's limited to have to say that. So what people really mean is that of recent African descent. They have to add the word recent in there. And what they are really talking about is from the slave trade to the present. That's what it all boils down to. The transatlantic slave trade is equivalent to the supposed birth of Jesus Christ, insofar as a demarcating point on the timeline, on dating. So the supposed birth of Jesus is a mark in history where we go off of to count our years. Like right now, it's the year 2024 AD. That's associated with Jesus. AD. That's why we say 2024. Next year will be 2025. Now, the transatlantic slave trade marks a point in the historical timeline for all of this conversation to take place. When people say African descent or whatever, it's like biologically everybody's of African descent. Oh, you mean recent African descent. And by recent, you're talking about from the slave trade to the present. So the slave trade is a big marker in the historical timeline tape. If time was a tape, a strip of tape, the slave trade will be a big old mark in there, just like the birth of Jesus. Okay, but that's what people mean. But still, it's limited. It's limited. All right, black is very vague. All right, keep on going. Ramza Jabari does work with the existing political landscape that exists, so he has a lot vested in black. Okay. Anything else stick out to you, Emicat? Okay, I see Black Line Supreme's comment. So I'm behind y'all, so I'm gonna try to catch up quickly. And look, anybody in chat, let me know. Do you should I post a link to the panel? Do you want a open panel discussion, or is everything fine the way I'm doing this? I need to catch up. Um, let's keep okay. Black Alchemy. Again, peace to everybody. My issue is not that they was black or not. It's why the European Eurocentric hide the information. Yeah, Black Alchemy, that is a valid concern, but I can tell you that that's an old concern that's fading because more and more information can't be hidden and it's more readily available to everyone. It just is, especially with the internet and the digitizing of ancient Egyptian texts, the ability to take trips to Egypt yourself, the ability to go to museums, and the ability to actually learn the language and everything. So there's really no more excuses or we can't say that things are being hidden. Excuse me. Anymore. We can't do that like in the past. All right, so just keep that in mind. There's no more excuses. Going on down. Let's see. I'm just trying to catch up to everybody. Judy Ma'at's in the building. Yeah, Judy Ma'at, boy. I'm telling you, every time Hoodie Ma'at, boy, you gotta. I don't know. You got some more. You got some more material to work with, boy. Because I'm catching up on videos, and I've actually watched some videos, and I'll speak about that a little later. But yeah, I know Jehudi Ma'at, boy. His fingers are itching. Okay. Black Line Supreme says I will wait. Okay, yeah. So hopefully that satisfied that answer your question, Black Line Supreme. If you have another question, keep on going. MK, did anybody say they want to come on the panel? Nope.
No, I haven't seen it yet, but I think we should just post the link. That way, if in case somebody wants to come in, then they have access to that. Really.
All right, so let me do that. Here's the link to the panel. Let your voice be heard. And let me try to pin it up.
Yeah, and actually, I would actually like Black Lion Supreme to get on the panel because I think he says something interesting. He said that something to do with the arguments to do with the ancient Egyptians are black, that most of those people are not talking about the black, that we're talking about race or anything like that, the social construct. So that was kind of interesting to know what because that was new to me because I know what most people when they have this discussion about why the ancient Egyptians black, what they are referring to at the end of that statement of what black is, but because he says is something else that he refers to in terms of black, so that would be interesting to know what it is.
Okay, I am pinning the message. All right, so it's pinned to the top. So the panel link is pinned. All right. So Sat12 says most Americans interpret the statement "the Egyptians were black" as synonymous with "the Egyptians were of African descent, not a dynastic race from outside of Africa." That's debatable, Sat. In all of the years that I've been dealing with these issues and engaging people, When people say the Egyptians were black, they are without a question, they are using black in the modern social construct sense. That's just it, and that's anachronistic to do. We should not be doing that. Because I'm going to tell you this right now. I've said this many times, and I'll repeat it tonight. Now you all have to think about what I'm saying. Black is one of the class levels of the modern social hierarchical construct of race. So it's a hierarchy. It's a class system, and it's hierarchical. Black is at the bottom. I don't think anybody can successfully argue against that statement at all. This should be an accepted fact. Black is a racial class that was at the bottom of the list of classes. White is the polar opposite of black on the class system. It was at the top. When the social construct of race was emergent from society and saturated to where everybody swallowed it to this very day, black has been at the bottom. Always has been. Now, having said that, if the ancient Egyptians were alive today and they just walked up out of their graves and they were hip to the modern social construct of race as we understand it today, the ancient Egyptians would not call themselves black. The main reason why is because the ancient Egyptians would never identify themselves as the bottom class of anything. They would never identify as less than or the bottom of anything. They would view themselves and identify with the top or the best. So if you have a class system that's in a hierarchy, the ancient Egyptians, if they were alive today, they would choose the top class by whatever name it is. It could be any name or any word that represents that top class. That's what the ancient Egyptians would select and choose. Because when the ancient Egyptians were alive and thriving, that's what they did. They viewed themselves as all that and a bag of chips, the center of the world, the men of men, the humans among humans, the best of the best. That's how the Egyptians, and who can blame them? I don't know any population of people who don't see themselves as the best. So they would not self-identify as the bottom, just like we didn't do it. My recent ancestors did not and the key word is self, they did not self-identify with a bottom class. That was a label given exonymically. They were categorized at the bottom. And the bottom layer happened to be called black. They used a color term, and that's what got people confused, because they strategically used color terminology because they wanted to focus on how a person looks. They wanted to pseudofy it and to connect it with some kind of scientific racism at that particular time, where if you look a certain way, that gives us a right to treat you a certain way. If you look a certain way, we're going to call you black. And guess what? Black is at the bottom, and we could treat blacks any way we want to. And now I'm not saying anything that y'all don't already know. So people need to leave that alone. The ancient Egyptians would not call themselves black today. And what's even more crazy than that is that based on the United States standards of racial designations, all of the countries in North Africa, which includes Egypt, anybody from those countries, if they were to come to the United States, guess what they would be classified as? I want anybody in the chat to tell me what any citizen from a North African country, including Egypt, if they come to if they come to the United States and they are giving a racial classification, what racial classification it would that be? I want y'all to tell me. And I'm gonna keep on going down the list. I'm trying to see Europeans first to go, Black Lives Supreme. Yeah, because you all are people tend to have a conversation in the chat, so I'm just skipping all of that. Okay, Black Lives Supreme says in the hymn of Aten we read Aten created all the colors of men. Oh, okay, so you're having a conversation there. All right, so I'm trying to catch up, y'all. Okay, Black Lives Supreme says thanks. I'll check it out. All right, hope you do. Sat 12 says, what is the hieroglyphic word for Egyptians? That is a real hieroglyph stone inscription, not transliteration from hieratic. Okay, if I understand your question properly, and you can correct me if I don't. Basically, you're looking for the word that refers to the Egyptians, but not from papyri. You're looking for it from formal carved Sesh Netcher and not simplified Sesh Netcher that's on papyri. Am I correct with that? So get back to me, Sat. Let me know if I interpret that right. Judy Mott said, we should go over what Egyptian colors represent because some people think Kim means brown and black. Okay, Judy, I'm gonna come right back to that then, because I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna summarize a few things with that. I'm just trying to catch up real quick. I'm gonna come right back to that. Let's see. Judy Mott says, can Kim's semantic range include reddish brown? Okay, we're going to find out. That's a good question, Judy. Both of those questions go together. And I'm going to link into that. So we got Juju in the house. So Juju, Jolanda was on the panel earlier that I was referencing. So it was a good discussion again. So you all check it out. I was summarizing and paraphrasing. So make sure you go check out the show that I was referencing. Black Alchemy says, we always said that Kim means black as a descriptive term. Well, Black Alchemy, let me you're not wrong, but let me suggest saying it in a better way. So people have to understand that the ancient Egyptian writing system did not document vowels. Okay? So when we see the glyphs, there are a lot of what's called homographs. Homographs meaning they look alike. Homo meaning same, graph meaning something that is written or carved. So you have several distinct words that we would transliterate as KM, and we would pronounce it Kim. But these are distinct words. So we have to be careful when we have any discussions about Egyptian words. That's why when people send me words, people used to inbox me all the time and ask me what does this word mean? What does that word mean? And they used to give me the transliteration. So they would say, you know, they would give me the transliteration and then ask me what it means. And and I used to always have to tell them, show me the actual glyphs because I don't want to tell you the wrong word. So I say all that to say that Kim, there is a word Kim that means black, that stands for the color black, yes. But there are other words that are also Kim that are not adjectives that deal with the color black. Okay, so anyway, I'm just saying we have to kind of be specific with that because people are definitely confusing things. Every time they see the word Kim, they think black, 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 but it doesn't mean that. All the Kim words don't mean black, and they're separate words. Okay, so I'm gonna try to keep on going down. So Jehudi, I'm gonna come back to that color thing. Okay, the Sesh, I noticed that there is a rare word supposedly meaning brown in Egyptian pertaining to chemical substances in Vigus, Faulkner-based dictionary, Kakim. Okay, so yeah, see, we have to do another show. So we did a show on colorism, Egyptian colorism, and that's a show that I explained the 4 primary colors in Egyptian history, and then how the colors branched out from there. You had Kim, black, Dashir, red. You had Hedge, white, Waj, green, and then even blue came about a little later, and even yellow and stuff like that. Brown to us, like what we call brown. Now you have to understand that our perception of colors and our color words for these colors is just it's so many. Like burgundy is a shade of red to people. It's just a form of red. Like burgundy. What's another one? Crimson, I think. Like we have all these different names, especially if you have ever decorated or had to paint your house and you go to Home Depot or you go to Lowe's and you go to buy some paint and you see those color swatches that they have for you to pick from. Do you understand how many color swatches there are and how each color swatch has a name? Like every color has a name, every shade of a color. You have colors, then you have shades, then you have shades of shades and stuff like that. So all of this color stuff, we really, really have to kind of let that stuff go in trying to apply it to ancient Egyptians or any ancient culture. Ancient people use colors to categorize things and to describe things literally. And then you have figurative associations to categorize things. Black equals fertility. Now, is fertility the color black? No, that's not a literal thing. That's a concept. That's an abstract.
Now, I was looking on in the Vigus dictionary, and I put the link on how it is Ka came with Ka with 2 uppercase A, and on the different instances in the Vigus, it does put the brown colored in brackets or in parentheses, and then says a valuable material substance. So I'm not sure if it's mentioning it as a color per se or actually mentioning it as a material substance, but then describing how it looks as well, but not as in this is the word for the brown color itself. That's something I'll probably have to look into more.
All right. But I want everybody to understand what I just said about the colorisms. People really need to devalue that because people are, and it's only because of our modern social construct of race. Like colorism is a modern thing. Like the importance of it, I should say. Because obviously every human being, since humans have been humans, we have eyes and we can see the color spectrum. We see the frequencies of colors of the reflection of light. White light breaks out into Roy G. Biv, the major colors of the rainbow. And the way I was taught, it was Roy G. Biv. Like we abbreviate the colors Roy G. Biv. And it was an acronym or whatever. And so when we look at an object, what we're really looking at is a reflection, is the fact that the object did not absorb all the other colors of the white light spectrum. It's actually reflecting the color that we see. All the other colors, the reason why we see a color is because all the other colors in the white light spectrum are being absorbed by the object. So if you're looking at a black substance that's black, that means it's absorbing all of the frequencies in the white color spectrum. If you see red, that means it's absorbing everything but red. It's reflecting the red frequency, which is why we see it. And all I'm saying is that that's a given. That's a human function, biological function of the eye. That's how the eyes operate. But now, how those are used in society and everything like that, the way we do it today is completely different. Everybody gives value to it because it's a shallow thing. When I say shallow, it's like this. I think everybody can relate to this. Whether you're a male or female in the chat, if you are looking for a mate, a husband or a wife or a girlfriend or a boyfriend, depending on how old you are, when you're looking for a partner, a life partner, imagine if you did that and you only did that and made that judgment based on looks. Nobody does that. Nobody would recommend people to do that. Don't marry somebody, male or female, solely based on looks. Why? Because looks is so shallow. That's not enough information for you to make a judgment on a person, whether you want to be with them for life or any period of time. So that's what I mean by the value of this colorism stuff. It is so shallow. But today, in today's time, because colorism has elevated, it's percolated to the top of importance with people. And it shouldn't be. In other situations, it's not. Just like the one I just gave. If any of y'all have children, I guarantee you're going to tell your children to not do that. If you have daughters, you're definitely going to be telling your daughters, don't get with a guy just because of how they look. Looks can change. What about their mind? What about their mental stability? What about, all the stuff they bring to the table and blah, blah, blah. Can they provide? Can they protect? Can they do this? Can they do that? Or whatever the case is. So everybody knows what I'm saying. But for some reason, people divorce all that stuff when it comes to studying ancient people and stuff like that. Everybody focuses on the most shallowest part of it all, color. And even in that focus, you still lose. Nobody's going to win. Nobody's winning that argument. Nobody's winning that argument. Not while I'm around. They're not winning that argument. And I'm gonna get back to the color thing because I'm gonna show y'all a few things. Okay, on the last U.S. Census, you are allowed to self-identify and pick more than one category. Africans are under black, except Egyptians are under white. Yep. Egyptians are under white. You know what, Sat? I'm gonna tell you something that I said in a few live streams. I don't even remember which video it's in, but I know I said this many times. Imagine on the census, imagine the 2020 census. It's too late now, but imagine the 2030 census that come up. Imagine if everybody who used to self-identify as black, Imagine if everybody who's allowed to self-identify on these census forms, imagine if everybody checked white. Imagine if everybody who currently self-identifies as black in 2030, when the census come back around again, imagine if everybody just checked off white. Do you understand how crazy the system would get? That would throw so many things off just by doing that one act. If everybody was on the same page and was and passed out the memo and said, hey, 2030 census, hey, everybody check off white. Everybody check off white. That would wreak havoc in the whole census system. Boy, it would be crazy. And I said that before. I said that for 2020, but I know ain't anybody gonna do that or try that. I was just saying it. Jalanda, excellent dialogue. As always, you bring the level of understanding, clarity. Okay, appreciate that, Juju. Sat is hogging the chat, y'all. What's up? We posted a link. The link is pinned to the top if you want to come on the panel. But I'm trying to walk down with these questions. As for a light brown beige type color in Egyptian, I don't know what word would be used, but such a color is neither close to red or black. By beige, you put that in quotes, you're probably talking about the pale, what they call pale yellow. It's part of the yellow. And brown is part of the red, though. Brown is part of the red. That's why scholars always say reddish brown. Remember, reddish being the adjective describing the type of brown. So the reddish brown, that was a safe way, a compromising way to name the color in scholarship. They say reddish brown, reddish brown, reddish brown, or brownish red. They may flip the words, brownish red, or reddish brown, reddish brown. Okay, let's keep on going. Christopher Willis, it says sometimes we get hints in late Egyptian. Oh, he's talking about the vowels. Definitely in Coptic, but even then it's an issue. Okay, let's ask. Okay, Jalanda, let's ask. Okay, I'm not sure I'm not sure. Maybe I'll get to it. So let me keep on going down. Why would Jabari use the Mott and Bailey logical to muddy the topic of Black Africa on purpose? He even defined his decision. Oh, okay, I see what you're saying. Yeah, that was kind of strange to me though, because he did that, and I was like, well, wait a minute. Now, hold up. Now, something that I didn't get around to answering. Jabari did ask me a question, direct question, directed to me, and I did not answer. We didn't have the time. Too many people on the panel. And it never got back to me to answer that question. But Jabari asked me. He said, and as along the lines of the logical fallacy and everything like that, he said, I was answering that part of it. I was able to. I said the ancient Egyptians don't have to be black to study them, because that's what he was implying. Because he said, if black is not important, if them being black is not important, then why not just go off and study Rome? Do y'all remember that? Whoever tuned in, you'll remember that, or just go watch the video. And I'm paraphrasing. He basically said, if the blackness or the Egyptian being black is not important, then why not go off and study Rome or study Greece and stuff like that? And that's when I said that the Egyptians don't have to be black to be studied. And then he asked me directly. He said, "Well," he asked me, "Why don't I study Rome or whatever? Why do I study Egypt?" And so I never got around to answering that question and whatnot. But I kind of answered it before he asked. Like, it wasn't even a question, because I always say this to everybody. Anybody that has engaged me, especially taking classes from me, I let people know why Egypt has been a focus of mine and stuff like that. So I've definitely been forthcoming with that, and it has nothing to do with them being black, because I maintain that that's I think it's a waste of time to go down that path of that conversation, and I think it's only done to make people feel good. I have my whole spill on that, but taking that logic, right, that something has to be black before we pay attention to it, to me is crazy, because that's very limiting, and you won't be a well-rounded, knowledgeable person if all you did was study things that you feel are black, or in reverse, things must be black in order to gain your interest and to be attractive to you. That is very limiting. That's very stifling, limiting, stunting the growth, and the whole nine. And if everybody in the world felt that way, then the world would be a big hot mess, because everybody would only know themselves and not anybody else. The world would not be an engaging world stage as it is today. It would be so crazy. Everybody would be self-centered, and man, I'm telling you, it would be crazy. Things don't have to be black to be to get, spark curiosity and whatnot. Peoples don't have to be black either. And if that's the way to go, then I don't want any parts of that. If that's the case, why do we study any fish in the ocean? Why do we study any animals? Animals are not humans. Like if we were black centric, and then we can elevate it to Homo sapien centric. If based on that same, and I'm only using the same logic, that means we would not study anything outside of humans collectively, and then we wouldn't study anything outside of our own race. If using that kind of logic. And to me, I don't, that logic in that position is absolutely crazy to me. I mean, to each his own though, but I think it's crazy. Okay, Black Line Supreme, real quick. He said, but we can see that the people of Kemet did recognize skin color. See, everybody has eyes. Everybody recognizes colors who are not colorblind. Any human that's not colorblind recognizes color. And the surface of things have color. So yes, the Egyptians recognized colors. But the issue, the separation is they did not use that for identity. That's the issue. People are that's what, and see, this is what I said earlier. People are melting together, blending together, totally different conversations. And Black Line Supreme, I'm gonna tell you this. The argument that the argument that blackologists are having is really a self-defeating argument. They are really sabotaging their own arguments and don't even know it. Because if we say Egyptians recognize color and just leave it at that, the Egyptians depicted their southern neighbors who are foreigners to them and not them as darker than themselves. So the Egyptians artistically are telling you that the people south of them are black. And that supports the early Egyptological scholarship, where they call and translate Nahisi, Nahisiu, and Ta-Nehisi as the place. They call the place Ta-Nehisi. They call that black land, the black land. They literally say Negro land in the scholarly works. but the word Negro is the word black. So they're literally saying Ta-Nehisi means black land. And the Nehisiu, which are the people, they say Negroes, which is to say blacks. So based on what the scholars said, and then what people were saying that, okay, the Egyptians recognize color and stuff, the Egyptians artistically represented their southern neighbors as black. So the Egyptians are in agreement with the scholars, or vice versa. All right, let's keep going down. Okay, hold up. Let me get to this one first. Black alchemy. I thought that Kim means black and Kemet means Egypt. I might be wrong. Well, I'm not sure if you wrote this before I address your other thing. There are many words of Kim. See, and I got to catch up first, so I'm gonna try to go down fast, a little faster, because I don't want to repeat myself over and over again. So let me keep on going down. Let's see, get down here a little faster. Ramza says, okay, big facts. I made the mistake half my life. My relationship. Oh. He's talking about looking on looks. Hey, listen. See, that's an immature. See, everybody does that when you're young. When you're young, you wanna, with girls, in grade school, high school, wherever. It's like I want somebody with good hair. The girl should say, "Oh, I want somebody with good hair." Or I want somebody with this. I want somebody with that. Like, you get very selective, and what you are looking for is very shallow. Very shallow. A girl wants somebody, he got to dress good. Or he got to have good hair. And the fellas, oh yeah, boy, she got to have that Coca-Cola body. Or that bob. Back in the day, I'll probably tell him my age. I remember it was the bob and the bamboo earrings, that salt and pepper. Back in the day, MC Light, salt and pepper, those bamboo earrings. See, I'm from DC. It was all about a Coach bag, a bob hairstyle. They call it the bob, if y'all don't know. Bamboo earrings. And it really didn't wasn't about clothes, like certain clothes. It was about that Coach bag for women, for girls, I should say. Nails done. Bamboo earrings and a bob hairstyle. And I used to cut hair. I used to be a barber. I was never actually I never actually got my full barber's license. I was actually an apprentice under someone to get a license. But I used to cut hair. I cut hair for 10 years. But I didn't I made more money cutting hair for 10 years on my own than working in a shop, trying to rent out a chair or whatever. But I was going to get my whole license. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. But I used to cut hair. And back then, I used to cut girls' hair in the bob. I used to tighten them up. I used to have that bob hairstyle, one side longer than the other, the back shaved, faded, and all this and that. So I know. But that's what people look for. All that stuff is shallow. But the whole point is, I'm saying, is that that's when you're young. As you mature, man, that's different. So that's what I'm saying. This conversation is a very immature conversation about colorisms, color, Egyptians, black and stuff like that. The Egyptians did not describe themselves as a race of people, as a black race of people. They just didn't do it. And the crazy thing is, as much as people hold these dictionaries up so high, there is no Egyptian dictionary that defines the kingdom of Egypt as black people. I'm going to repeat that because for some reason, I don't think people actually paid attention to that. There is no dictionary that translates Kemet in terms of the name of the kingdom, the other name of Egypt. No dictionary translates that as black people. Zero. Zilch. But yet, people are talking as if the dictionaries have it in there and it's been there. Do y'all understand that? Something is being forced on you. And what's crazy is that people are using these dictionaries, but they're ignoring that fact. People try to TLA y'all to death. Life in Life says, can you reference some of the books that help you understand linguistics? Okay. I'm gonna come back. I'm trying to get down to the bottom. Let me see. Cause anything that I have to dig up, I'll come back to it. Sesh, what about light brown that is neither leaning towards yellow or red? Yeah, you had to show me a picture, Sat. So, bring up a picture. If you post a link, maybe post a link to a picture so I can see what you're talking about. Cause to verbally talk about colors is kind of crazy. I have no idea what color you specifically talking about. We try our best to describe it, but nah, it's not gonna work. The question was, is Remage the educated class? No, the Remage. See, this is the thing about the word Remage. The word Remage became a general term for mankind or human, just human beings. But there was points in time where Remage was exclusively used for the ancient Egyptians. And I don't think people, share that information. So the word Remage, when you look up the word Remage in the dictionaries, it will say Egyptians, then it will have comma humans, comma mankind, and stuff like that. So you'll see all three of them bunched together, but it depends on the context and it depends on the time period. In certain contexts, the word Remage is exclusively talking about Egyptians. And then there's other contexts where you could tell Remage is talking about just human beings. Okay, so the answer to that is no. It's not about the educated class or not. It had nothing to do with the educated class. I think the word you're looking for, whoever brought that up, is the word rekit. Rekit. There's a word rekit, which is often understood to be subjects of the king. And you got to remember, every Egyptian was subject to the king. So it's another word for Egyptian citizenry. But it has a shading, a semantic shading of untutored, the untutored part of the population. So that may be the word that you're referring to, rekit. Okay? So they're different words. You got the Remage and you have rekit. All right, so hopefully I was clear on that. Let's see. Let's keep on going down. I'm just trying to get to the bottom, and then I'll come back to the stuff that I have to kind of dig up. Let's see. Sesh, since no type of Asian is described by a color on the U.S. Census, they don't like it. I think color identifiers white and black, and all colors should be removed. Yeah, I agree with you. Color terms now, but the levels themselves are still gonna be there. It's just the color terms. And what's crazy is that all the levels were colors at one point. You had black, red, yellow, white, and right now white and black are still used and polarized. But for everything else, we start naming continents. We say Asian, that's a continent. We'll say Hispanic or Latino. So now we went to a language family, the Latin language family. So it's crazy. I'm telling you, y'all don't understand. The modern social construct of race is the problem. It is the problem. All right, let's see. Black Alchemy question. Do the Arabic slave trade have anything to do with the finding of what we know now today about Egypt? Okay, you got to clarify that question. It says, does the Arabic slave trade have anything to do with the finding of what we know now today about Egypt? Yeah, kind of clarify that question. I don't understand what you're asking. All right, so hopefully you can clarify that. Let's keep on going down. Let's see. I think the question is, if the first dynasty Egyptians were 1824 Mississippi, would they be enslaved or free? Okay, so I think the question is, if the first dynasty Egyptians were in 1824 Mississippi, would they be enslaved or would they be free? Well, that's not the question. That is a question, but that's not the question though. So I don't want to paint a high value on that. But if that was a question that was asked, then it speaks to the point that's made that Europeans solidified this racial hierarchical system, and the hierarchical system was connected to what we now, the word we like to use now is phenotype, like phenotypical external looks. So they did that to justify and to class people and justify ill treatment. All right. So if the Europeans looked at the Egyptians and put them in the bottom class, then they would be considered, they would be trying to force them into labor and stuff. And that speaks to my reverse point is that if the ancient Egyptians were alive today, they would never self-identify as that. They'd be like, get out of here. They're like, miss me with that bull snippet. So that's definitely not it. But see, those are really not questions that we should be even asking. Like, there's no probative value. There's no value in that. The ancient Egyptians are not here. The civilization is the culture of civilization is dead. And they're not here, and they didn't have the concept of our modern social constructs. They just didn't. So it's like all of this is really just kind of word. It's just entertaining exercises that people are doing. All right, let's keep on going down. I'm sorry, did I miss it? What does the hieroglyph word for Egyptians and actual hieroglyphs on the walls, not hieratic, look like? Okay, what does it look like? That's what I'm saying. I'm gonna come back to it because I'll see if I can dig up one. But it's the word remech. Remech.
Yeah, the tomb of Ramses that we were looking at had that word as well, in just formal hieroglyphs.
Yeah. All right. Let me start there. Let me just show that real quick because I do think I can get to that real fast. Or is it? Let me just get that real quick for you. Sat 12, and then I'll work my way back. Let's see. Is it this one? Bear with me. Bear with me. Ah, here we go. Right about here. Okay, so let me make this big. So Sat, this is for you. You, based on what you wanted to see carved and not on papyri, is where my purple cursor is pointing to. You see the word remech right in between these four figures right here. It's the word remech, and you also see the word, the same word remech, also above them. So I got my purple cursor there to show it there, and then my red arrow is right here. You see the word remech. So this is not a papyrus. This is carved in Sesh Medew Netcher. All right, so hopefully that is sufficient for you right there. All right, and where was I? Okay, we're gonna come back to this. Okay. All right, actually, let me keep that up. Keep that up on the screen because I'm gonna go to something else. Oh, and if you need to see it somewhere else too, let me show you here, because the tomb of Ramses III is I covered that whole tomb in a video, and I don't want anybody to start up with that. unless they watch the video. But here is the tomb of Seti the First, and you see the same thing. You see Remech right here, and then you will see their name as well right here. So again, this is not a papyrus. This is an actual carving in formal Sesh Netcher. So you see the word Remech right here, and you see the word Remech in between these figures right here. 1, 2, 3, 4. The first 4 figures ending right there. You have the open mouth, tethering rope, seated man, seated woman, 3 strokes. All right, so hopefully everybody saw that. Oh, I didn't make it big. Let me make it big. So this is big. So we have the open mouth, tethering rope, seated man, seated woman, 3 strokes. Likewise, we have it up here. Open mouth, tethering rope, seated man, seated woman, 3 strokes. Remech is here and Remech is here. All right. That's the identity that the Egyptians self-identify with when distinguishing themselves from other people, foreigners. And that's very important to understand it that way. All right, so let me keep going down. Okay, so let me go back to Jehudi, what Jehudi was saying, because I don't want to go too far away from that. So let's deal with these colors. Let's see. Do I have them here? And no, I don't think I have them right here. Or do I? Scroll.
While you're looking for that,
No.
I'll put the link on
I do.
in the. Oh, okay. You probably can't hear me.
Oh, go ahead. What'd you say?
I was saying that I put the link for the light brown color that Sat 12 was talking about. It's in the back chat.
Okay, I'll come back to that. I'm gonna do this one now. As far as colors. So, okay, here's something. Now, here's something that I'm going over. I went over it again. I went over it recently, but I went over it a long time ago. But I went over it just the other day. But I don't mind going over it again. But I really, really advise everybody to check out our archives because, you know, I don't mind repeating myself in certain situations, but other times it just can be, you know, kind of holding everybody back. Like we need to push forward, you know. So I'm going over this, but I think this is necessary because the brother Shaka Ahmos came in our Facebook group. And by the way, MK, can you post the link to our Facebook group? Everybody in chat, if you're on Facebook, join our Facebook group because we have, you know, a laundry list of posts and topics and things like that, old and recent. Like, you know, we're you know, active again in the Facebook group. So Shaka Ahmos comes in the Facebook group. And matter of fact, let me show that first. Let me see if I can, where's my Facebook? Yeah, I need to show you all this. All right. And I'm, you know, I don't know. Shaka almost just came out of the clear blue sky and just came and y'all gonna see what I say because I'm gonna share my screen. Okay, give me a second. Can I share this? Yeah, I gotta make it big. So I want you all to. Okay, so can y'all see that? Now I'm gonna make it big. Get over here. Can I close that side window? No, I guess not. All right, I'll just make it big. Okay. Trying to close this side window, but all right. So I made a post. This is 3 days ago. So y'all see this post right here. Let me click on more. This is the post that I made. Now, how does it look on the screen? Is it big enough, Emicat? Can y'all read that? I think it's the best I could do, y'all.
Okay. Yeah, we can work with that, I guess. If you
I
hit
thought there was
Command
a
plus, you
way.
can. If you hit Command
No,
plus on the keyboard,
no, I
can you?
already increased it. It's just going those three
Oh,
columns. I'm trying to collapse the column altogether.
oh, okay. Minus this.
All right, but listen, y'all. Hopefully, y'all can see it well enough, right? Anyway, this is a post I did 3 days ago, right? And so this is what I'm saying. I'm just gonna read it. I said on the left, I have two images here. If y'all can see that, two images are right there. And I put on the left is an image from the tomb of Rekhmi Ra, showing woodworks by ancient Egyptian workmen who are depicted in the national artistic canon, Desher, red, and it's right here. A foreman, which is this guy right here, presents a Ka statue depicted in Kim, black. Okay? So that's what I'm simply saying for the left picture. On the right picture is an example of a Kim, which is a black Ka statue belonging to King Tutankhamun. This is King Tut's Ka statue, painted Kim, or black. No different than the one on the left hand side, where we see the Egyptians are creating a statue and painting it Kim black, but it's not the color of their skin. The paint that they chose to color their skin is Desher, red. That's all I'm simply saying. So I'm gonna read the paragraph. It says, "It is the plethora of ancient Egyptian imagery and artistic canon that portrays the notion or claims that the ancient Egyptians somehow had today's modern social construct of race in their psyche and identified as a race of Kim people or black people due to the color of their skin. So much so that they even named their kingdom after the color of their skin. That position is untenable." That's my post. It's pretty straightforward. Like, it's the straightforward as you can get. Now I'm gonna go to the comments and I want y'all to see. Hold up, did that show up? Yeah, that's bigger. All right. I want you all to see. Now Shezmu came in and he thought the word where I said artistic, he thought it said Asiatic, and boy, he came in left field, but he realized it. So all right, so here is Shaka Afmos comment. And this was from a day ago. So my post been sitting up there for 3 days. He came yesterday, which is still today, really. But anyway, he says, Wujao, he says, what's untenable, mean brother, is your deducing such a piss poor conclusion from a relief that presumably contains no usage of the term Desher red, and in parentheses, you certainly did not include it here if it indeed does. If the juxtaposition you erroneously espoused articulated some notable chromatic value distinction between the two colors shades, or the lack thereof, held by the committee, surely they would have articulated it in the relief itself. However, presumably they did not. Easy way to substantiate your premise, if it is in fact true, is to provide the text in this relief where the workmen depicted are referred to as Desher red. Should you fail to identify such for us, at least in this instance, this is an argument that must be summarily rejected. And then he has the meme, bring it on. Now, all kinds of things are wrong with his comment. One, he came out the clear blue. As a Johnny come lately, he jumped out the airplane without a parachute. Because at no time did I ever claim that there's any text in the picture at all. And I made it crystal clear in my post the purpose of me putting the pictures in the first place. There's a clear contrast. Now, I'm not sure if Shaka Abmos is colorblind or not. I've never asked him that, and I don't know. But I would assume he's not, because that's something that's not common. But you can clearly see distinct colors here between these two figures right here. All right. No matter what color you call, no matter what word you apply, we definitely see two distinct colors. And the point I'm making here is no matter what you call these two colors, one color is not the same as the other. And the color and the statue on the right of this guy and the statue in the right image, everybody and their mother will say this is black, which in Egyptian would be Kim. Therefore, these Egyptian men right here are not that color. No matter what color you call this, the men, we know that it's not Kim because it's not the same color. All right. So him requiring the image to say that these men are Desher, red, is just crazy. It's actually a ghost argument that he created on the spot. It's a straw man argument that he created right on the spot. So here's my response to him. So I simply say, I don't even address what he said or try to answer anything he said. I just tell him reading comprehension is the ability to process written text, understanding its meaning, and to integrate with what the reader already knows. Reading comprehension relies on two abilities that are connected to each other: word reading and language comprehension. Comprehension specifically is a creative, multifaceted process that is dependent upon four language skills: phonology, syntax, semantics, and pragmatics. Then I go on to say some of the fundamental skills required in efficient reading comprehension are, and then I list them out. Then at the end I say, after considering the above reminder, rereading my post should help. So that was my message to him. I was basically telling him to reread my post, but do a better job at comprehending the post. So then he comes back in the conflict community fashion. First of all, his initial comment was typical conflict community behavior. You know, to create a ghost argument and then be combative, like to come in an adversarial way instead of just asking me. See, it would have been better if Shaka Ahmos came on this post and said, "Well, Joe, how did you come to the conclusion that the Egyptians here would be the color that they are would be expressed as Desher?" He could have said something like that. See, that's what I would expect from a mature person who is actually in the work of studying and investigating and how you communicate with others. But Shaka Ahmos is heavily influenced with the conflict community, so I understand why he came with this bring it on and stuff like that. So anyway, he comes back and says, "Well, Joe, yeah, that's pretty much what I thought. You have no attendant text substantiating anything you said about this relief. What I do, however, fail to grasp is why it took you a meaningless word salad of megalithic proportions just to cover up that fact." See, this is childish to me. And I would expect better from people, you know, that's at least my age. I know Shaka Ahmos has to definitely be around my age. All right. So I didn't even get, I think I responded one more time. Yeah, here. So now check out my response to that, right? I say, in typical conflict community fashion, we have Johnny come latelys into the conversation, jumping out the plane with no parachute, lacking comprehension skills, committing logical fallacies, and taking an adversarial position when it's not necessary or productive to do so. It may help you to know what this post and its image is a part of a continuation of a larger conversation. Unless blind, we all can see that the image has no text to accompany it. Your comment is a ghost argument against something never claimed. Your illogical ghost argument is the same as saying, and then I give the following: the man and woman in the following image are not really painted in different colors because it doesn't explicitly say so in the image. The man and woman in the following image are not really wearing clothing because it doesn't explicitly say so in the image. The man and woman in the following image are not really wearing arm and wrist bracelets because it doesn't say so explicitly in the image. And I'm going to click on the image so y'all can see what I'm talking about. Can y'all see that? Yeah, y'all can see that. So based on Shaka Ahmos logic, he is saying that the image must explicitly say that this man has hair, this man is wearing a garment, this man is wearing bracelets, this woman is wearing a collar, the man is wearing a collar, she's wearing arm bracelets and wrist bracelets. So although we can see it, Shaka Ahmos is saying that that's not true because the text doesn't explicitly say it. You see how ridiculous that is? So he's asking of something that is totally not necessary. Hence this whole straw man stuff. And this is what people in the conflict community do. All right. That is what he's asking, which is retarded. So anyway, I just wanted to share that about the color stuff. So let me get back to where I was. So now back to this, right? Okay, so let me get my cursor over here. To explain this again to everyone. Here is a lesson for everybody. These are, in this image, this is from the tomb of Nefertari, okay? This is a scene from one of the walls. You can see the adjacent wall over here and the other wall over here. So this is a full wall. It has 7 cows and 1 bull. Now, what's of interest is this particular cow. Actually, these 2 cows are alike artistically. They are artistically alike, meaning that the artist painted these 2 cows with the same color pigment. Even this cow over here. The red part of the cow is the same red of this cow and the same red of this cow. They didn't have a different swatch container and dip their paintbrush into a different swatch of color. This, and this match. Okay? Now, this particular cow is identified by physical characteristics. So this cow is called the greatly beloved one, Weret Merit, or Weret Meret, which is the greatly beloved one. And then it goes on to say red-haired, or red of hair, or whose hair is red. You have the word desher here, right here. Okay? That which is red, desheret. And so, and this word is shinu or shin, which is the word for hair. And as I explained before, in today's time, we usually don't say cows have hair. We say they have fur or hide. Regardless of the word you choose, it's the color red. That's the Egyptian word for red, desher. So now we have a reference point from the Egyptians themselves on what red looks like artistically. Okay, at least all in this particular tomb, because we have to remember that each swatch of paint was prepared for a specific job. In other words, the first dynasty artists didn't make a batch of red paint that lasted the whole 3,000 years. So every group of scribes that are working on a job, they had to prepare their colors. Okay, so now they tried to match them as close as possible throughout Egypt's history, but they're not going to be perfectly the same. All right, so I want to make sure everybody is aware of that. Now, so we know from the Egyptian perspective what they're calling red or desher artistically. So if you go from here and you look at a picture like this here, we can see that this is an Egyptian man who's tending a herd of cow. The top group of cows, and I say group because you see two horns here, even though you see one body. On the bottom, you see two horns here, although you see one body. The top ones are black, Kim. The bottom ones are Desher, red. The same paint color artistically is the same paint that the artist used to paint the Egyptian. So the Egyptian is painted Desher because we can deduce that because we know that the cow is Desher. And if the cow equals Desher and the Egyptian's color equals the cow, then guess what? Now you have a three-way equation. Desher equals cow, which equals the Egyptian in terms of artistic representation. Red, red. That's black. His hair matches the top cow. His eyes match the top cow. But his skin matches the bottom cow. Easy enough, right? Here's another example. We have a real red cow, Desher cow, and we see that this color is prominent through 90%, over 90% of all artwork in ancient Egypt for adult men is the color red. And if it makes people feel better, it's also said as brownish red or reddish brown. But the Egyptians called it Desher. All right. So that is plain as day that you could see. Now, here's something interesting is that the ancient Egyptians called Ra the red one, the sun. At a certain point in the day is called Desherti, which is the red one. Okay? And everyone may not know this, but the ancient Egyptians have maintained that they come from, or they are the emanations of Ra through Ra's tears. Ra cried, and then the Egyptians pop on the scene as the Remech. The word for cry is Remi, or tears is Remit, and it's a play on the word Remit is where you get this Remech. There's a word play going on there. From the Remit or tears comes the Remech. And Ra, one of his epithets is the red one. Okay? And so if you look at images, you'll notice that whenever you see the sun disk painted, let me get my arrow right here. Whenever you see the sun disk painted, the color paint that the artist used to paint that sun disk, you can see it right here. You can see it right here above the word Sa-Ra, and you can see the word Ra inside the Shinu. If y'all can see my cursor, I mean this arrow right here. That same paint pigment, if you were an artist and you were dipping your paintbrush, that same paint pigment is the same one that they use to paint the skin. This is undeniable. And so this is part of the larger conversation I was telling Shaka Ahmos, who came to the conversation late and just jumped out the window with it. And he and I can have a better conversation if he lose the immature conflict community shenanigans when he comes. Like, I'm telling him this is not the group, our Facebook group is not built like that. So if I would have read more, whatever the case, the comments he was making, it's just real childish. And I would just expect better from people who are older, especially who spend time studying this information. But anyway, nobody can deny that. You can see with your eyes that this red is the same color red that they painted, that this painted. Now, this is just a crop picture, but I could show you many, many, many more. All right. Even so-called Neungpepi Kim that people found when they were searching the TLA for the word black and just stumbled across all these Kim stuff, and then going through, spending the last 2 years doing this, the tomb of Neungpepi Kim, even though they try to say that the Kim on his name is because he's black, guess what? Neungpepi Kim in his own tomb is not painted black anywhere, ever. He is painted red. So if the stress and emphasis was to say that he's black, which, by the way, is a dagger in people's own arguments. Think about this. If the Egyptians are black, and they're so focused on their blackness that they named their country after their skin color, because the word black is Kim, and they took that black to name the country Kemet, which is the land, according to them, the land of black people, then why in the world would it be necessary to single out one Egyptian and say he's black if everybody's black? That's retarded. And then on top of that, that's just the surface retarded aspect of it. Then on top of that, they don't paint the guy black. If they're going to name him black because he is black, then why didn't they paint him black? That means they're not trying to, they're not focused on that. The only people who are focused on that are modern day pseudo blackologists who play researcher on YouTube. That's it. Here's some more images from Neungpepi Kim's tomb. Neungpepi Kim, right here, you can see his name, Neungpepi Kim. That's a statue of him. His hair is black. Again, I repeat, his hair is black. His body's not painted black. So they were not trying to convey to you that this guy was black in skin color, because we know what the Egyptians called this color that we are seeing. The dominant color that we are seeing, the Egyptians called it Desher. Now, Wujao, here's a question that somebody asked me, inboxed me. They were like, well, maybe that's just the artistic canon, and they couldn't paint them black. They just did that. And I'm like, well, no. So I had to send them the famous Malhepri picture where they're definitely conveying that this guy is black. So if they wanted to, they could, and they did. But when they did it, it's rare. So we have my hair Peri, my hair Peri, but everybody, we say it Malhepri. This person is painted the same color as the black cow and the black bull. These three colors are matching. I don't think anybody will argue with me on that. My man right here is matching his hair. He's matching that. So artistically, they're conveying that this guy is black, is dark, very dark. So if they wanted to do it, they could do it. And they didn't. His name has Kim in it, but he's not. So that is not the meaning of Kim in his name, to convey that his skin, that he's black. All right, so I hope everybody got that. And I could show tons of pictures, a whole lot of pictures to emphasize what I'm saying. I'll show y'all one. I'll show y'all another one. Where is this one? Let me put this at the end of, that's Neon Peppy Chem. Let me put it after this one. Let me show y'all another one. So here's one. I don't know if it's small or big. Look at that right there. Y'all see that? Y'all see the cows are red. The Egyptians are matching the red cows. They're not matching the black ones. There's no black cows in this image, and they're not matching them even if it was. They're white and red cows. And the skin color is the red cow. Their white outfit is matching the white cow. This is very basic art. I'll show y'all another one. Boy, these are just some random stuff. Let's see. What's another good one? All right, here's another one. And people send me these pictures, by the way. Look at that right there. Look at that. Come here. Look at that. So we see a black and red cow. We see a black and white cow. Let me put my arrow right here. Black cow, red cow. Black cow, white cow. White cow, black cow, red cow, white cow. How now, brown cow? But what paint, regardless of what you call this, let's erase all the color terms, right? Let's just go with the artistic visualization. If you were an artist, don't you think that you dipped your paintbrush, the same color that you dipped your paintbrush in to paint this cow is the same dip and color that you used to paint these two men? There's no getting around that. This color happens to be called by the Egyptians Desher. How do we know? Because on every single papyrus or papyri that has this scene of the 7 cows and the bull, it names one of the cows the greatly beloved, the red-haired one. Just like it does right here. Right here it says Deshret. Right there. Where Muret. Where the Muret. The greatly beloved one. Red-haired. It's right there. Same exact thing as in this one. And by the way, this is from one of the utterances of the Book of the Dead. That's in the tomb and on the papyrus. That's this Book of the Dead is in the my Papyrus papyrus is so-called Book of the Dead. So there's no getting around that at all. I mean, I could do this all day. Let me get another one. Oh,
I think I would say Chris put a good point. There are also individuals with hedge on their names, and I believe there's also a Desher in it with the names and stuff like that. So that just tells you.
Who's that, Chris Withers?
Yeah,
see if he can come on the panel and share it and show that, or give you something to share.
Yes, and Chris, can you come on the panel? The link is pinned above the chat.
Or if he could share the link to 2 examples, because I don't think it's hard enough to convince people, even if you have examples. I'm showing pictures, and I could do this all night, and there are going to be people who just don't see what's right in front of them. Here's another example of a spotty red cow and a spotty black cow. But guess what? The Egyptians' red skin or skin color paint is the same paint that was used to paint the red spotty cow, not the black one. And I hope y'all get the point here. It's consistent. You all can do this yourself. Find any picture where Egyptians and cows are in the same scene, and you're going to see that the Egyptians are going to match the red cows or the red in the image, even if the cow is spotted like the one that you're looking at right now. One more. I'm gonna show one more, and then I'm gonna see what y'all saying in the chat. Cause while I'm sharing this, I can't see the chat, and y'all probably having a whole conversation. All right, that picture is too small. Let me go to this one. All right, here's another one. I'll blow it up so everybody can see it. You see the Egyptian. The Egyptian in front is bald. The Egyptian right here has hair. You got part of Egyptians up here in the left. But at all times, these Egyptian men are painted the same color as the red cows. Red cow right here, red Egyptian right there. Black hair matches the black cow, matches the black cow. This is basic first grade, let's go paint, guys, type of information right here. This is very, very basic. And people are going to try to make this complicated and just make up stuff and try to give all kinds of excuses of how this is not the case. And if any of you all fall for it, then hey, God bless you, and I wish you the best. All right, so let me stop sharing that. So where we at in boy, I'm real far behind now.
Yeah, we're gonna have to do it fast. And I did send you. I don't know if you remember what Sat 12 had talked about with the light brown color, but I did put the link up there in the chat.
Okay, yeah, I see it. Let me share that. Okay, yeah, Sat. I clicked on it. That color is pale. They consider that pale. That's part of the yellow. That's part of the yellow. There's no Egyptian word specifically for this color that's different than yellow. All right, so hopefully that kind of answers your question. Let me see. We'll keep going down. I'm trying to be quick, y'all. Black Alchemy. All right, my question is: do the Arabs control the information coming out of Egypt, and did the Arabs destroy a lot of information and tombs to fit their narrative? I would say no to that question. I would say yes and no. Yes to your first part. Not the information in Egyptology as a discipline, but anything that comes out of the country, obviously, because Egypt today is it's the Arab Republic of Egypt. Okay, that's what the country is. And so when you go to Egypt, they control what goes on in their country. So to that extent, yes. But the study of Egypt as Egyptology and this, that, and the third, no, because it's beyond them. They grant people access to excavations. Prior to them even being organized and set up, everybody and their mother went into Egypt and studied whatever they wanted to, excavated whatever they wanted to. Then when they set up, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Ministry of Antiquities and a lot of these different things, they got more organized. But for the most part, no, the information is not hidden or whatnot, and it's not destroyed. You got to remember, Egypt, ancient Egypt, the relics and the material culture of ancient Egypt is a huge part of the country's economy. Tourism is very, very, very big form of income for the country. So they're not gonna. They're trying to discover things. They want to attract people there. Okay, they're not trying to destroy things, but things are, over time, the wear and tear because of all the tourists and things like that. So yeah, and then they don't have the same value in those things collectively as a country. Remember, because they're dominant with Islam and things like that, which doesn't gel too well with their that belief system. All right, so let's keep going down. Let's keep on doing. Kevin says, did Did the Upper Egyptians ever look just like the Lower Egyptians in any dynasty? Um, that would be a good thing to compare as far as look, in terms of how represented. But I can say this, that there was an artistic canon. So Upper Egyptians and Lower Egyptians artistically were represented looking the same. Because remember, I hope everybody understand what a canon is. Like if you say biblical canon, that's the 66 books of the Bible became a canon, canonized. The Bible became canonized, which means it became a rule. So you have artistic canons, which means it was a standard or rule for Egyptian artists to do these things. So that's what I mean by that. All right, let's keep on going. Black Lion, it says, now they are as dark as Nubians, which okay, I'm not sure what you're referring to, because I'm late. I'm trying to scroll on down. Let me go on down in the conversation. That goes back to what Zhao said earlier. If we all claim white on the census, what exactly would that mean to be American? Okay. Now, it would throw census way off. Next one. Why would Shaka almost say Wujao was engaged in word salad when Shaka offered up an Olive Garden unlimited word salad? Yeah, that was I thought that was crazy. I saw Kevin had commented too. You said you didn't understand what I was saying about Kim meaning black as a descriptive term, but you just used it as such. No, black alchemy. I never said I didn't understand what you're saying. I simply said that you have to be careful because there's more words that are K and M that don't mean black. So if you want to talk about the one that means black, then that's fine. And we have to explain it that way because people think whenever they see KM, it's talking about black. And that's not true. I can show you many instances where KM does not mean black. Because they're totally different words. There's a word commit or kimi. That means that which is completed or compiled together. And it's talking about a book. But these blackologists will say a black book. And it doesn't mean that. It comes from the root to complete, to finish, to fill up. To fill up.
Yeah, I think I already explained it, and he says he gets it. But just for those listening, the word chem is a homograph. So that means that with the glyphs that we are seeing in a sesh, it's only the consonants, and some of these words share the same glyphs. So you have kim, like Vujal said, for complete. You have kim that actually means black. It's an adjective that means black. You have kim that can be used for prophet and things like that. You also have kim for wailing or moaning and things like that. So there's just so many words, so you never know which one. And even if somebody says well, then if it has people, if there's a chem for bull and things like that, doesn't necessarily mean a black bull, as we've seen, because some of those bulls are actually written as chem and they're not black. So I think the better word is just say there's a chem for bull, period. So all that is there. So even if somebody says, well, if it's with a town, then you name it this, and if it's with people, then it's black people. Why not even say the whaling people or things like that? So we can't just use those kind of logic when reading the sesh. There's just so much that goes into it, but there's a lot of chems in Sesh Meru Netcher, and that's what people fail to understand. So everybody focuses on the chem that means black and ignores all the rest.
Yep, excellent. So this is Sat 12's question. Are all the versions of Kemet with the people, talking about the man and woman and the three strokes, as in Diop or other YouTube channels that have a Kim glyph, are they all transliterations of hieratic only? Plus, could Diop not have known? The answer is yes. It's only in the Kahun papyrus, which is what some people call it. Others will call it the hymns to Senwosret III, which is what it is, the content of it. We're talking about the same thing. And it's only found in that papyrus. That's it. And yes, it is in what they call hieratic. All right, so that's the answer to that. Oh, the second part, could Diop not have known? According to Diop didn't even know it at all. He didn't know it. He attributes somebody else as finding it. Okay, and I went through that. Let me see if I can pull it up very quick. If I can, then I'll share it. If I can't, then I've already done it in previous videos. But if this is something that I can share with y'all real quick, then I will do it. And I believe I can because it's right here. Is it right here? Yes, it's right here. So let's share it. I'll pull it up. Oh, let me take your comment down so everybody can see clearly. Okay, so hopefully everybody can read this and follow along with me. I'm just gonna read the pertinent portion, okay? This part right here, it says, this is Diop, y'all. Matter of fact, let me tell y'all, this is coming from the UNESCO General History of Africa, Volume 2. And this is the portion for Diop's information. All right. It's under the subtitle of this portion. It's called The Egyptians as They Saw Themselves. And this part right here, he says, the Egyptians had only one term to designate themselves. And then he shows the glyphs that Sat-12 you're talking about, which is the I6, the X1, bread loaf, kneeling man, squatting woman, 3 strokes. He says this set of glyphs equals Kemet, which equals the blacks or the Negroes, literally. And we know Negroes is blacks. But notice that there's a superscripted number 44 for the footnote. If you go to the footnote, Diop says this important discovery was made on the African side by Sosu Nsogan, who was to compile this part of the present chapter. So I'm just supporting my statement that this is not even Diop's discovery, or this portion is not his work. This is the work of Sosu Nsogan, who was supposed to compile this part of the chapter. All right, so I just wanted to let everybody be aware of that and repeat that to everyone. All right, so we could take that off the screen. All right, let's go down. Let's keep on going down. See, I'm going down fast, y'all. I'm trying to see. I don't see anything else.
The latest one from
salute. Sorry, salute chat. Please give time periods of photos. Just trying to keep up. I'm slow. Okay. Yeah. Okay, I will. I mean, I'm not gonna go back through the photos, but I try to do that when I do it. But these I was just pulling. These photos I was just now showing, like the one that's still on the screen. These are photos that just people sent me because I put out there before. I told people to do it themselves. I said, look, find pictures where you have Egyptians and cows in the same scene. And so then people start sending them to me. Okay, so yeah, but any other time I would give you, where the picture's from, the tomb or something like that or whatever. But for these, I was just putting out quickly. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry, Mika, what were you saying?
I think I was reading. Okay. Maybe you might want to read that. But I was saying, if you didn't find anything else, there was another one, more recent from Sat-12.
Okay, I'm gonna try to get down there fast.
All right, cool.
I'll read this one, then I'll try to get down there. Okay, this one he says Shaka Ndugu Kemet was showing shades of brown in Egyptian painting, some like a milk chocolate color, suggesting it was a brown that is not a reddish brown. Yeah, to that I just have to say, so what? Because this colorism is too overly emphasized, and Egyptians did not do it. As I said, the Egyptian artistic canon, they had a set of colors, and from one group of scribes and artists to another, they tried to match them, but it didn't exactly match. They used the colors to distinguish and differentiate. Even if the red from Nefertari's time doesn't match the red exactly from, let's say, Sahu Ra's time, it's still red. But the people in Sahu Ra's time did not make a batch of red that would last long enough so the people in Nefertari's time could dip their brushes in it. So this entire colorism is gone too far, and we cannot acquiesce to these things. And so I know you hear people hear it in my voice. It's just a waste of time. People have spent 2 years. I've been on a 2-year hiatus, only to come back and people is talking about the same stuff in the same way, ignoring the facts on the ground, ignoring the basic logic. Like, it's so illogical. People don't know what logic is. They don't comprehend. And I'm demonstrating all of that every time. But I know that this channel is not as popular as all the drama-filled stuff going on. But if you were to watch our videos and stuff, that's what one thing people will not do. They will not advertise this channel and tell people to watch our video and then give commentary on it. People don't do that. They just talk and hope people believe what they're saying. When they misconstrue arguments, people are arguing things I never argued. They act like Mia Sar and Sanjetti said that Kim doesn't mean black. Nobody ever said that. We say the opposite. There is a word, and we made that clear. There is an adjective, Kim, that refers to the color black. Man.
So, like, just FYI, the color of the reddish brown, there's a reason why it's called reddish brown. Now, obviously it's not the same thing as how, like, nowadays when you want to paint your house and you go to, I don't know what the company that people goes to over here, but you go there and you have like color swatches with the color numbers and the hex colors and all that kind of stuff, and the machine does it for you. So in ancient times, obviously they know the nuance of the reddish brown that they're using. So it could be a little bit more reddish, it could be a little bit more on the brownish side, but it is the reddish brown. And because those people, the kind of paint, mixing the paint that they do, it wasn't like an exact science like how we do now. So that's why it's called reddish brown. So there's a range of that. So it would be useless and really pointless to argue about what specific reddish brown it is. Is it on the brownish side or is it on the red side? That's why it's just called reddish brown.
All right. To address this question, Black Alchemy says, I'm so confused because I thought the red bull that share represented the desert and the black bull represented the Kimland. See, I come from a background of logic, being on the debate team, stuff like that. So logic is something that we like, man, we had to learn in and out, right? So, and then argument theory 101 and all that kind of stuff, argument theory, all of that. So Black Alchemy, on the basis of the logic of your statement, there must be a white land as well, because we can clearly see that there's white cows. So if the color of cows represented lands, then where is the white land? Okay, all right. So let's move on. Hopefully, what I just said makes sense, and because I would hate to have to spell it out. but I know how things can get, so I'm gonna spell it out anyway. No, the red cow does not represent the desert, and the black cow does not represent the fertile land. These colors all depends on context. The four cardinal points have color associations where white is the south, red is the north. It doesn't mean all of the south is white or all of the north is red. In this scene right here, you have white cows, red cows, and black cows. If we were to use the logic and say the cows represent land, then it must be three different lands, the red land and the black land. Well, where the heck is the white land at then?
Yeah, I
So we
think he must
can't.
have had it. Sorry, go on.
Okay, so I'm hoping I'm unconfusing. The confusion is coming from everybody's focus on colorisms, and it stems from this poison of this modern social construct. It is only because of that people are so fixated on colorism. I'm telling you, that is the biggest trick. That's the biggest scam and okie doke. Even Dr. John Henry Clark said it. I'm not saying anything different than him. If you respect him, then respect him and listen to the man. Peppy Kim would then equal Peppy the same as everybody. Yeah, right, exactly, Kevin. If all Egyptians are black, then to say Peppy Kim, what? Why would that be said? If all Egyptians are Kim, why would they say Peppy is Kim? And that's how you got to put it. So Kevin, make sure you jot that down. If all the Egyptians are Kim, and that's what people say, Kemetu, it means black people, or Kemet means black people. So if all the people are Kim, because they want to use the I6, X1, man and woman, and three strokes, they want to use that, which is only found in the Calhoun Papers, by the way. They want to use that to say it means black people. So, okay, if it means black people, then why in the heck are they saying Peppy is Kim then? If everybody's Kim. That makes no sense. These are very fundamental, elementary things. And that's why I'm so disappointed. Like, I can't believe that people are falling for this. I'm like, seriously, I'm concerned. It's scary. Chris says there are individuals with hedge in their name. Yeah, Chris, did you give an example? Dang, I'm way behind then. Cause you said that a long time ago, Amy Cat. Oh, he said I will
Yeah,
post them on FB.
yeah.
Okay, yeah, Chris, if you can post them in our group, post them in the Seshu group, in the Seshu Facebook group, so everybody can see it. Just create a post with that. So appreciate that if you do that. I'm still going down. Okay, Pure Black says Jabari tried to say. Oh, okay, I don't know. Yeah, I'm behind y'all. So yeah, if you all have already got what the things I'm saying, then I apologize. I'm trying to catch up. In driving of the calf scene in Ramses III, that the Kim glyph looks a little different than others, not as elongated and like a square circle flip flop, only three prongs. Yeah, there's different variations of that glyph, so it's nothing to be alarmed about or anything, because I can show you the same scene. Ramses III is not the only scene with the driving of the four calves. There's other scenes with that in there. Okay, so make sure you look at them all. Sat 12. I have tried, and others in forums tried to find this was a reference, but nobody can find it. Not even sure who he is. Exactly. He is a very obscure. Nobody knows what happened to him. Nobody knows. Nobody has seen or heard from him since. Well, nobody ever heard from him outside of that footnote. Nah. He is a person mentioned in a footnote, and that's it. Okay, I think I'm catching up. I'm catching up now. Sesh, I have noticed that the new glyph is sometimes depicted like the European Iron Cross, which has flaring ends, not looking like an intersection of road and canals. It depends on where. So if you could show us an example of that. And last, so I'm caught up now. I think an official's name, Henny, had Henny the Red, Henny, nah, Heppy. You talking about Heppy. Heppy the Red and Heppy the Black, using color attachments to their name to distinguish them, then probably not physical descriptions like Mr. Green. Yeah, that's correct. I showed that. Yeah, I showed that. So it's Heppy the Black and Heppy the Red. All right, so that's that. Last one. Nobody came on the panel. See, that's why I said. I think what y'all said, once you speak the language or live in Kemet, you are an Egyptian. Am I correct? It's not quite that simple, but you're definitely on the right track. You're definitely on the right track. With that comment, I don't know. I don't know what you talk. What other comments
Yeah,
you got
yeah,
going on?
yeah.
Okay,
Not
so
just live, but it's a practice of culture. So you can't just go there and then be,
yeah.
yeah. So language is kind of like a gateway, and obviously being there and then immersing yourself into the culture where that becomes your culture. Obviously.
Okay. We got 5 minutes left, y'all. So in closing, I do want to re-emphasize this point right here. Let's see if I can share this. I want to re-emphasize something. Give me a second. Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? For those who want to follow with me, I am about to share the Gardner sign list. Okay, I want to reemphasize this point. And you're all supposed to be spreading, investigate yourself, synchronize with the information. If you find something different, come back and we have a discussion about it. But if you in sync with it, share it, scream it to the top of your lungs. Okay, so what I'm sharing right now is the Gardner sign list. For those who don't know what the Gardner sign list is, it is Sir Alan Gardner. He took the individual hieroglyphs and he organized them into categories based on their likenesses. So he put all like glyphs together. So all the glyphs that have to do with vegetation, plants, and stuff like that, he put it under one category. And that category happens to be M as in Mary. So he has these alphabetic categories, and then within the category, he sequentially numbered them. So when you hear us say O49 or N23, that's what those codes are. They originate from Sir Alan Gardner. That's why we call them Gardner codes. All right. That's a quick FYI. Now, what I want to emphasize is this. Let's go to N as in Nancy. All right. So we're going down to the N's. Now we're at the N's. The N category deals with sky, earth, and water. Is it big enough? Yeah, y'all can see that. Sky, earth, and water. Now, I want you all to pay attention. We went through this already, but I'm just doubling down on it. I want y'all to notice N20, N21, N22, N23, and N24. Okay. And just looking at N25, it reminded me that I need to address something. So remind me, Emicat, I got to address N25, okay? All right. So, okay. So my point here, because I'm going to be quick with it because we went over this already. What I want you all to understand is that the N20, N21, and N23 and N22, all 1, 2, 3, 4 of these glyphs are interchangeable. They're interchangeable. Okay? Hope everybody's with me. These glyphs are interchangeable. That's important to know because for a long time, people have been asking a very silly question. They've been saying that the toponym Kemet with the toponym Kemet, the place name Kemet for the name of the country could not mean black land because there's no land glyph in the word. And that is false. The land glyph has been there all along because these glyphs here are interchangeable. So you have N20 is a tongue of land. And specifically, it's talking about the bank, the land part, not the water part, but the land part that meets the water, a bank. It's in the word wajeb. This glyph is actually referred to as wajeb, a bank. A tongue of land is called edeb. You see it over here, bank, region. Okay, edeb. Duld is Edebwi, which was one of the names of Egypt, which is the two banks. That is Egypt. You see Edebwi. You see two of them with the N23 as its determinative or classifier. So when you read this, it tells you that these glyphs are interchangeable. If I were to read them again, so let's do it real quick. This in 20, it says, from the old kingdom onward, a sign of like appearance is used. Talk about here. You see it here? If we go down to in 21, it says, more widely used in Dynasty 18 than often taking the place of the earlier in 23. So in 21 and in 23 interchange with one another. And we can confirm that. Go down to in 23. It says the same thing. In Dynasty 18, N23 tends to be replaced by N21. See, because the reason why this is important is because people see this and they think water only and not land. Because when you show them the place named Kemet with N23 in it, they say, nah, that's water. Show me the land. Show me land. Well, N23 is land. It's talking about land. It's just irrigated land because it was replaced by N21 as well. So to the Egyptians, they're interchangeable. And it also interchanged with N36. You see that? N36 right here? Let's go to N36. It's further down. It's right down here, which is a channel filled with water. So all these glyphs are associative of each other. They are related to each other, associate, and they are interchangeable. All right, so I want everybody to understand that. Now, as an exercise, any of y'all who have Egyptian dictionaries, it doesn't matter which one you get. I always encourage people to get all of them. Get all the ones you can get. But get any Egyptian dictionary you can. And I want you to look up the word for land, which is the word ta. I want you to look up the word ta. And you're going to be surprised, if you don't already know this, that ta is spelled with the N23 glyph. Right here. Here it is right here. Ta is spelled with the determinative of the N23 glyph. So don't let people say to you, show me the word land or glyph for land in the word Kemet. Because all you got to do is show them Kemet that's spelled with this N23 and it's talking about land.
Yeah, people it's crazy because it's a shame that some people with good intentions are going to these channels and listening to what is being taught and then coming off more confused and wrong as hell because the person has given them the wrong information. So like determinatives or classifiers, uh, you know, for whatever reason, they must be butchering all that all around in different channels. Because even one of the questions I got on the inbox was, you would see where, it was being said that when you see the Three Hills classifier, then that means it's foreign land. So then people get confused when they see it mentioned in locations that are, are in ancient Egypt or were in ancient Egypt, and then they get confused, and they actually, because they've learned that way, they start to make excuses like, well, this land must be foreign, even though it's in Egypt now, in their head, and that's their conclusion. It is foreign to them, because what they've learned is when they see the Three Hills, that means it is foreign. And that's just how people just don't understand classifiers and just the basic stuff that we have on this channel. So we actually have a video. I'm going to put it up right now on the link. We have a specific video on determinatives and classifiers. We have another specific video on how glyphs function per se. So these are like basic stuff that when people don't know, then they end up being jumbled in their head because somebody has taught them completely wrong.
And that's a good that you brought that up, because it's the last thing I wanted to come back to. That's why I said remind me about N25. So here is the claim. Yes, Chris says that's correct. Kemet is a synonym for Idebui. Excellent. All right, so I want everybody to understand. Idebui is a name of the kingdom of Egypt, and so is Kemet, a name of the kingdom of Egypt. So is Tawi, a name of the kingdom of Egypt, and so is Tameri, a name of the kingdom of Egypt. Okay. There's nothing difficult about any of this. The only reason why people are making it difficult is because they don't really know this stuff. People are winging it, and they're treating this information like a reality TV, where they're learning something the night before, they trigger a live stream, and then they want to share information that they didn't really do the 360 knowledge on. And they're passing off information, getting things wrong, mixing things up, messing up. And here we come. We have to play janitor and clean up stuff. And we've been doing that for years. And I'm telling y'all, it gets annoying. It's frustrating because that's more popular to do. It's more popular to be childish, to be dramatic, to be all wilding out and doing all the other shenanigans. That's more popular. But okay, last
Yeah, in
thing.
fact, I don't know if you had your map, then I would show you or what I did get, the question that I did get, but maybe we could do it today or another time.
Okay, I'm not quite sure, but what I'm gonna do is I was gonna show this map and go over.
Yep, that's the one. That's the one.
Okay, I'm gonna show this and show people how the statement that the Triple Hills is foreign. See, I don't know who's teaching these people, but it's definitely not coming from me or our camp at all. Like on this side of things, and I hate to even say it like that, but it's just not coming from this direction. People are being confused by people who are playing investigative researcher on YouTube. So just to quickly go over that, before I share that, let me reshare this though. This is back to the Gardner's list. I have to start here. So this is N25. Gardner describes this as a sandy hill country over edge of green cultivation. Again, sandy hill country over edge of green cultivation. Let's read the rest of it. He says, as an ideograph or determinative in the word chasset, a variation spelling is this word, chasset. And he has a transliteration, chasset. He defines it as, or translates it as, hill country. Then you have foreign land. So what people tend to do is cherry pick and select what they want to see that fits their agenda. So they'll look at the Triple Hills and simply say foreign. When this Gardner sign list itself, if they were to start here, they would know that it also means the hilly part of the country. It's by extension that it even became a word for foreign. Why? Because the foreign territory is on the other side of the hills. So anything or anybody that came from the other side of the hills was a foreigner. So the hills became synonymous with foreigner, but it's still hills nonetheless. It says it's a determinative for desert. So the triple hills can represent desert. An example is the word set. And so we have, or Semet, which is a word for desert, and even necropolis. We have Heret, which is upland tomb. Iabatet, which is east. What's in the east of Egypt but still in Egypt? It's a desert. So Iabatet would be determined or classified with the N25 to represent that it's in a hilly area of the country. It doesn't mean that it's a foreign location. All right, so now let's get back to the other thing I want to share. So that's that. I'm going to undo that. Now I'm back on this map because this map was being used, or I should say misused. Let me be properly accurate. It's being misused. So on this map, you'll see some of these place names with a triple hill. So you see it here. Let's see, where else do we see it? We see Dakhla Oasis, which is just Tet. What's another one?
Further down there, right?
We have
Actually, on top.
Maha. Oh, on top. Oh, we have Abu. We have Abu. Then we have Abu here with triple hills. And we have Abu spelled with 049. Now, people who cherry pick and happen to be among blackologists at the same time, they will say something like this word here, Abu, is foreign or whatever, simply because it has the triple hills. I just now explained to everybody that the triple hills does not necessarily mean foreign. It actually means what it means as well, which is hills. And when it's used as a classifier, it's talking about a type of land, the terrain that it's talking about, just like Abu Simbel. You see it there. So this is a hilly part of Egypt. It doesn't mean that it's foreign. No different than happy is a watery part of Egypt. When you see the canals and stuff like that, glyphs as classifiers. All right. So that's something that people are going to have to really, really understand. Even this, the Fayum, this is Ta-Shi. The word she is the word for a pool of water, a lake. So it's saying Ta-Shi. That's kind of odd, isn't it? You got 3 glyphs that are in the N category. You got a strip of land, a pool of water, and 3 hills, all in the same word. I bet you that confused the mess out of those people. They don't know if it's land, water, or hills. Is it land, water, or hills? You're like, God dang. Or is it even foreign? That's what I'm saying. People need to, that's what I'm saying. People just need to come and join in the learning process and not be combative, not be adversarial, not try to do this and that when they don't know what they're talking about. And this is why I get frustrated, because people try to argue, but they don't even know enough to know that they're wrong and loud and wrong. Just because they sound convincing, just because they do things to attract people because everybody wants to be entertained and get with the drama and this, that, and the third. So this is Tashi, which is the Fayum Oasis right here. This area right here. Surrounded by hills, but it happens to be a body of water. That's what I call it, an oasis. So anyway, hopefully that was it. That was it, and that's the last thing I wanted to cover, so that everybody can understand that at least. So that's that. So Emiket, what else?
Yeah. So speaking of the determinatives, I think I put a link in the back chat because Sat12 wanted us to look at an image of the 049 glyph, how it appears on the wall. But I wasn't sure what the question around it was. So Sat12, if you're listening, could you kind of just let us know again what you wanted us to note about the 049 glyph? Okay, that the flaring ends does not look like an intersection of straight pathways, towns, or canal on that carving. So yeah, hopefully you've heard that. You can look at that.
Talking to me?
Yes.
What,
So
049?
yeah, so I put the link of the image of it
Okay, all right, I will.
in the back
Okay,
chat.
I'll pull it up, and that will be
Okay.
the last thing because I'm
Yeah.
definitely over the time, and then I'll
Okay.
be accused of being MC Iron Lung. Um, I want to reinforce this here. This is Egypt, right? This over here is the water itself. This is the riparian zone of Egypt. This is clearly the desert. But look at what you see right here. You see hills. Is that foreign territory? No, it is not. It is still in Egypt, but it's the hilly part of Egypt. So if we had to go here and name this place, I would put a classifier on it with the triple hills. Because it's a different type of terrain here. It's a hilly terrain. It doesn't mean I'm trying to say that it's a foreign country or foreign land. Hopefully y'all get that. It's just that simple. It's just that simple. Okay, so let's pull up this glyph. Okay, I'm gonna share my screen. I'm gonna share it. So let's get it here, and share right here. All right, so this is from Sat12's link. So it says, this is the ancient Egyptian hieroglyph Newt, one of the earliest known written inscriptions meaning city or town, as the economic historian Lopez intimated, blah, blah, blah. All right. The cross represents the convergence of roads which bring in and redistribute men, merchandise, and ideas. This convergence entails a quickening of communication, which is nearly always a great advantage, but may become a handicap if speed grows so frantic that the city has no time to keep its share of the incoming goods and to impress its mark on the goods it re-exports. The circle in the glyph indicates a moat or wall. This need not be materially erected so long as it is morally present to keep the citizens together, sheltered from the cold, wide world, conscious of belonging to a unique team, proud of being different from the open country, and germane to one another. The wall, too, may become an obstacle. Hold up, can y'all read that? Let me blow this up because I'm reading it. I know y'all can't see it. The wall, too, may become an obstacle if it is too high and tight, if it hinders further growth above all if it frustrates the opportunity for exchanges beyond it. All right.
So yeah, it's the second image down below, I think, if you
Yeah,
scroll down.
I know. Yep.
Okay.
But I wanted to give it context. See, that's what I'm saying. See, people, we have to, because I already saw this picture down here, but I wanted to see what they're saying about it in general, because whatever they're saying, they're just showing a picture. Is they just showing a picture random, or are they trying to make a point with that particular picture? All right. So I'm not gonna read everything, but if we just want to see this picture, we're looking at it, and this newt symbol here is not exactly the same everywhere. I can show pictures where this symbol looks different. So Sat 12, now that we're showing it, what's the question?
Okay, so let me read what Sat said. It says the flaring ends does not look like an intersection of straight pathways, town, or canal.
Right. I'm saying, what's the? Is there a question, or is that's just an
It's just, I guess it's
observation?
observation, like a note. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, yeah. Clearly, in this picture, they're not straight. These lines are not straight. Like this, the curve, it curve, like it curves with the circle. It definitely curves with the circle. Yep. And then these, I guess, by flaring, they meant even these lines right here are not like straight. So it's not like a straight cross like how this one is. Like this one is straight across. Even though this part is curve. But I'm assuming they're talking Sat 12. You're talking about this is straight, which forms a 90-degree angle, 90-degree angle, and this
Yeah,
one
look
doesn't,
more like petals.
and this one doesn't. But
Yeah.
I can say this, Sat 12. Don't get that caught up in the minutiae of glyphs, because I can show you a lot of glyphs in the Greco-Roman period, the Ptolemaic period, of glyphs that we all are familiar with that look different than earlier periods, but they're the same glyphs. So that's why I was asking, what's the what if you were making a point or not? Because if that's the case, boy, we would be saying that about a lot of glyphs that don't look exactly the same,
Yep.
especially when the Ptolemaic period comes around. Now,
Yep.
this particular picture, where is it from? Does anything up here say where it's from? Because they didn't put a caption of the picture down here, so I don't see it. Doesn't stick out to me. So Sat 12, if you're already familiar with this web page, tell me, where is this picture from? Tell us where the picture is from. All right, so you can let me know if you could do that real quick, and then we're gonna close out. We are going to close out.
Um, don't know. So that's the response. So that's something we can figure out later.
Okay, but yeah, but I guess my overall point though is, don't get that caught up on the slight differentiation of glyphs, because, like I said, the Ptolemaic era of glyphs, even though they're the same glyphs of previous time periods, they're stylized a bit different. And you can even look at the Old Kingdom compared to the Middle Kingdom and see the glyphs, even the way they drew men. In the Old Kingdom, they drew Egyptian men with longer arms and more squared bodies. But by the time you get to the Middle Kingdom, they didn't carve and draw them the same. Then when you get to the Amarna period with King Akhenaten, it changed even more. You look at the drawings or the carvings of King Tut, with the wider hips and stuff like that, aquiline kind of features and stuff like that. So that's one thing you definitely don't want to do, is to get caught up in the so much so into that, as if there's something mysterious going on or something like that. Because I can show you the circle of that represents Ra, like in the name Sa Ra for son of Ra, and show you the circle as an incise glyph, even raised relief, incise or raised relief. Then I could show you the same glyph where there's a dot in the middle of it, and it's not papyri; it's actually carved. Matter of fact, let me see if I can show this one. Okay, yeah, I'm gonna give you a for instance real quick. Let's see if this one will pop up. All right, I'm just gonna share this. And I promise y'all this is the last thing. And y'all probably saying, yeah, right, we know you, but y'all, you going to go on for another 30 minutes. Nah, not this time.
Yes, this you said it is not.
Okay, this is just a quick example. I just Googled this, right? Here's a picture of Sarah with, when you see the circle right here with the, oh, where'd it go? Yeah, with the raised inner circle, the dot. And then elsewhere, you don't see it. All right, so these are just examples. Matter of fact, I'm gonna show you the exact. Nah, that's not. Let me show you this one. Let's show you this one. I'm gonna show you same word. I'm gonna show you the same word, so that way nobody can make an excuse and say, "Oh no, it's not the same word." I'm gonna show it, man. And it did not pop up. Oh, it did. Nah, that's too small. I can't even show you all that. All right, here's one. No. Out of all these times, I always see Sarah, and now I'm looking for one to show you the exact same word. I can't. Oh, here's the word repeat, but that's not what I'm looking for. Here's another one, repeat. Oh well. All right. I mean, y'all know what it looks like. I can show you the circle, but it's not the same word. But you'll get the idea. Let me show you that then. Boy, it's not coming up either. All right, that's a sign because it's not coming up either. So that is definitely a sign to call it quits for the night. All right. So appreciate everybody tuning in and hanging out with us tonight. Make sure you all be safe for the holiday, rest of the holiday, Memorial Day. And if you got any military folks and all that good stuff, family, friends, cookout, you know what I'm saying, have your fun. All right. But don't drink the Kool-Aid of the blackologists, the pseudo-blackologists out there. They're preying on everybody right now. And so, yeah, that's it.
Oh yeah, and tomorrow Sunday or today Sunday on our time, I think Asa Imhotep has a show specifically on classifiers and and also dealing with Kemet, but also classifiers and the grammar of it and all that. So just make sure that you tune in tomorrow or in a few hours. I think that will also be interesting and it will help people understand, if there are any other places, kinks in the understanding. I think that probably will help. So yeah, tune in tomorrow.
Yes, indeed. All right. So, yep, tune in. It's gonna be repeated stuff that we've gone over many times. Which is the people, that instance of people in the word Kemet that everybody using, which is only found in one papyrus. That's what's crazy to me though. But always remember this: Kemet is a riparian country. Egypt is a riparian country. It was all about the Nile River. When the river filled up, it brought joy and happiness. to everyone. And I would suggest for everyone to read the Hymn to the Nile. Read an English translation of the Hymn to the Nile, because what we're gonna do, we're gonna find it, and we're gonna go through a translation for it. All right. So I'm gonna say, oh, she said, I keep saying she, and forgive me because I don't ever remember. Sat 12 once and for all. What pronoun should I use? Because I told you, I think I mentioned this before. When I see sat, I'm thinking female because the word sat is daughter, and I actually knew someone with a screen name, sat, and it was a female. So I don't want to be disrespecting and keep thinking female when you're a male, or vice versa. So for once and for all, can you let me know? But the question is, how was the logo made? Yeah, I made that. I'm a graphics artist. That's one of the things I do. So I made mine, and I made Emiket's. So, if you're asking me how, I don't really know how to explain it, except for I had to draw that bad boy. And I use Adobe Illustrator, if if you want to know that, to make that one specifically.
So I said, no pronouns. So that's kind of hard because I'm struggling. Like sometimes I feel like saying they, but then you don't want to say he when it's a she, or she when it's a he. So like, we'll probably just have to keep saying sat all the time, which is kind of weird.
All right, Sat. I mean, fair enough. I mean, you got to respect it. So, all right, I'm just going to say Sat. Sat, Sat, Sat. All right. But yeah. But hopefully, okay, wait 1 second. This gives me an opportunity to explain my logo. Let me put it up here. And look at me. That was the last thing. Yeah, make me do it. So just to explain my name as a logo, I explained it many times that you could see. I already even have a slide for it. But my name, the name is Wujau, and to be creative with it, I'm spelling it with the elements in the name. It's like almost like a rebus going on that the Egyptians did with the statue of Ramses that I explain all the time. But the red crown is red, which is the word Desheret, the red one. So it's the red crown. You have Wajet as the cobra deity, and then you have the word Waj, which is the color green. So that's why my name is green, and why it's a cobra for the W, spelling out the W. The middle part of the W is the Ja, is the glyph for the word Ja. And it's a abbreviated form of the word Waja, which means prosperity or to be whole and sound. Green represents vegetation, health, wholeness, and then Ja is also prosperity, wholeness, and to be sound. And the name Wujau is a form of the word Weja in the phrase Unk Uja Seneb. People pronounce it Uja instead of Weja, so it should be Unk Weja Seneb. Life, prosperity, and health. My name is a stative, which means he who prospers, or he who is sound. All right, so that's my name, and everyone knows that snakes in ancient Egypt were protective. Were seen as protective, such as the protective deity Mehen, who encircled Wasir, or encircled the deceased to protect them from other things in the duat, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So there's a lot of symbolism of things in my name, and then I can do the Min Ib Irdi Ma'at. My full name is Wujau Min Ib Irdi Ma'at, but that's for another time. So with that, I'm gonna say that we are out. Let me bring you back up, Appreciate everybody coming through, and everybody be safe. Shalom Hotep.